First on the play by Blewett. Receiver downfield.
If he has good technique, he will be elite. If his technique becomes great, not just good, then he's a Hall of Famer. Fighting through contact, fighting through offensive line, beating a double team, multiple moves stacked into one, just a play of pure domination. This is actual film, this is actual football talk. It's a football show, so it's football, not storylines.
And you are watching / listening to another edition of Blewett's Blitz. Kyle, my man, what's up?
Not much, Joe. I've been on spring break for half a week now, and I've been watching a lot of tape, getting ready for the draft, man. So excited.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of your updated thoughts. We'll obviously hit some draft stuff. The draft is, I can't do math, but 8 days away. I was going to say the hours, but I'm not going to do that off the top of my head. So 8 days. Like I said, Kyle and I will be doing later round one, end of round one, and we'll be streaming for days 2 and 3. Next week for the stream, I'm going to be solo, but then Marcus Coleman's going to join me for like an hour, hour and a half, however long he has, but at least an hour from 7 to 8. So I'll pick his brain on some of his thoughts about these draft prospects and overall thoughts about the Jets, etc. So that'll be exciting. But Kyle, we actually have some news to talk about. I'm gonna hit the chat first before let the people build up a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the news around the Jets. But the Jets signed a couple of guys back. They signed Curry back, which we'll hit. There's some rumors about a specific wide receiver that's going on right now, mainly because of his brother on Facebook, which we will hit. But let's get to the and you're on spring break for what? Until Monday?
Yeah.
I don't get a spring break. I don't get any breaks. It's just I wish I had a spring break or like summer off. That'd be beautiful. But what's up, Nathan? I see you in here, which we'll talk about in a little bit, asking you about the Vinny Curry re-signing. What is up, David, Steven, Assassin, Cartman, Mike, Rob D. What's up, Blue and everyone? Let's have a great stream. Yes. Yeah, sorry, a little bit change up of the day of the stream. I just had some stuff going on tomorrow. So usually Kyle and I do Thursday streams, but it is Wednesday this week, obviously, as you can tell. Unless you don't know, because it is 420, so maybe you don't even know where you are. Nick, howdy, gents. What's up, man? Michael's saying, what is going on with JMO? B-Guy saying he won't be ready until December now. Yeah, Kyle, we'll hit on that really quick because it's not really the biggest topic in the world. But with Jamison Williams, we kind of were, it was people were hinting towards him playing at the end of the summer, like August being ready, September. And now people are kind of saying that it is going to be like November, late October that he's going to be able to play. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that was according to Connor Hughes on Twitter today, that he was saying he won't be ready till December. But I mean, I know that, what's that guy's name? Palmer, James Palmer, something like that. He was interviewing Jamison, and, I don't know, by the way that Jamison answered his questions, it seemed like he's going to be ready earlier. According to that doctor that Scott Mason has on his show from time to time, it seems like it's going to be earlier. So, and just based on recent talk and stuff, it seems like Jamison's kind of flying up the draft boards and stuff. And that indicates to me that teams are a little bit less concerned with his injury. And if he definitely is going to be out, until at least December, I would think that he wouldn't be flying up so high on draft boards. So, I don't know. To me, it seems like there's some discrepancy on when his timetable for return is. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah. And the other things I didn't mention too, by the way, the Mets, fuego right now, and the Nets game is on tonight, which, by the way, so after 7 o'clock, Kyle's going to have to carry their stream. It's going to be very, very distracted at about 7 p.m. Because the Nets are on need to tap the series. But yeah, it's like, for me, like it's all smoke screens like season. So I don't really I look into it, but I try not to care too much, because on one sense, you have Jamison Williams and company who are going to say, obviously, yeah, I'm going to be ready to play by June. So then he gets drafted higher, and then you have other people who are actually looking into it. Like, I don't really know where it falls. It's, again, that's one of those areas where I'm kind of in the middle. And that's for the Jets to figure out if he is ready by, the late summer, very early season. I'm more comfortable with him at 10. If it's more November, December, maybe a trade back up at 10 might be a little bit early for that, because you want a guy who's going to be ready to go at the beginning of the season. But at what point, okay, is he the best receiver and you're willing to wait a little bit? The Jets aren't going anywhere this year, versus Zach Wilson needs help now, so it's a really interesting conversation wherever you fall. But yeah, I was like thinking about okay, August, but if you were injured, Kyle, Ronald Blair yourself, and you were going to come back in November, like, wouldn't your camp be pushing August so you can get drafted a little bit earlier? Like, why would they not say he's healthy? You're not like, yeah, you know what? I've had a couple setbacks. I'm really injured right now. So it is interesting. Harold H. Deebo, GMF1369, just call him Hulk. Donald, what is up? Not because of his brother on a Facebook, he requested trade. Yes, I know. It all started because of
he was just saying that there's extra drama because that kind of made it more public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lieutenant Mike, what's up? Harold, we're going to talk about that. 194 hours until the draft, FYI. Okay, 194, Kyle. That's not too many. So really excited. I took off a couple of days of work next week. I only have work for 2 days, and it's pretty much all draft all weekend. And then immediately after that, I go to Aruba. So the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty nice after this next week of work. We're going to hit that question a little bit. I'm going to pass that off. Stephen Engel. I heard a story about you with George. I don't know if you want to I'm not going to say the whole thing online, but if you want to me to hint towards it, I'll let you know if you're still here. But I got at least something from George. He told me I'll tell you that he would tell me a bunch of stuff, but I know at least one thing. Snoopy, what is up, man? Jets, Mets, what's up? Garrett Wilson, Drake London are better than the rest, I guess you're saying? Kyle, do you agree with that? Are those the two guys you'd be willing to take at 10?
So I think I watched like 3 or 4 games of Jamison right now, and I don't know. I don't really feel like I have a great pulse on the player yet. There's parts of me that really likes him, but I don't know. I don't know that he's. Some people are like, oh, he, if it wasn't for the injury, he'd definitely be, number one. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know how you feel, but
yeah, I feel like he's being I feel like we're always like negative people. I feel like he's probably the number one receiver in this draft, but I think he's getting kind of elevated to like near the top of past classes. Like it's not necessarily like Chase, but like people are thinking like he's on par with like Waddle and Lamb and Judy, like all those guys coming out. I think he's a little bit below that. I still think he might be the number one, but like you said, like, he's not Tyreek Hill. I think if anything, like he's more like Deshaun Jackson-y, like a long strider, a guy who's not going to get his breaks really, really well in terms of like square cuts and getting back to the ball, where Hill is just amazing in terms of quickness and speed. There's a difference. So I like Jamison Williams, but I don't necessarily love him where it's like, okay, Jamar Chase, tore his ACL. Are you willing to take him at 10? Yeah, obviously, but I don't think Jamison Williams is up to that level. So it's a conversation,
Yeah. In terms of route running, I mean, like I think that London definitely has him in that regard. In terms of his ball skills, I think they lack there a little bit. And the one tweet that I put out there, and I know that people aren't, I wouldn't say that there's so many people who are directly comparing him, but I've seen it like 5 times now from like people who kind of like work and actually get paychecks to work in football, where they mention Tyreek Hill alongside Jamison Williams. And it's like, okay, I get it. The Jets pursued Tyreek Hill hard, right? And my problem with mentioning that is like, you're going to make the average Jets fan think that like, oh, this is a Tyreek Hill replacement. Like they're very similar players, and they're not. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So that bothers me. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. I'm just saying, like, don't expect that you're going to get Tyreek Hill and they're going to use him on, gadgets and end arounds often, that they're going to put him in the backfield, that he's going to be a special player, in the divisional game who catches a deep dig and then takes it to the house. I mean, like, he does have really good speed and stuff, but he's just not the same type of dude with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, so we'll hit on this now, I guess, because the NY Bully, which we appreciate the super chats for sure, $10, hit it off early. What's up, Joe and Kyle? Deebo has a lot of miles on him as a football player, but I think we need to offer a trade for him. If we can't land him, what are our other options at wide receiver via trade or draft? Kyle, want to hit that first?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, NY Bully. Really appreciate that. We definitely, need to pursue him hard. And Joe and I said that 2 weeks ago we'd give up 10 and 69 for AJ Brown. And, in terms of how we view those players, it's very similar. We would put up the same trade package for Deebo Samuel. Now, I think that was our buddy Scott Mason on Twitter, like not that long ago, probably within like the last hour, he said something along the lines of like, it is interesting that if Deebo doesn't want to be used in a certain way, does it decrease his value as a player, right? Like if he doesn't want to be put in the backfield, does it decrease his value as a player? And to me, I think the answer to that question is yes, it does,
Mhm.
right? If you can't, obviously you can, use him whatever way you want, but you don't want to piss him off to the point where he forces himself out again, because if he did that with the 49ers, what makes him think he wouldn't want to do that to you? And, listen, I think he's a good receiver and stuff, and obviously has a lot of yards and stuff, but I mean, what makes Deebo special is what he can do with the ball in his hands. So if you're taking some of that element of surprise and you're making the defense guess a little bit less, that doesn't make Deebo as special a player as he was. Still special, but not as special. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess what does he feel like is like a running back? Like if they're using him on a bunch of like jet sweeps and screens, like is he gonna count that? Because you're gonna need to use him like that for him to obviously be worth that $25 million a year and whatever draft capital you're going to invest in him. But I did want to read a stat from Nani in terms of that, just being in terms of like being a little bit underrated as a pure wide receiver, which we have to look at for ourselves, obviously, too. But he says he was 10th in the league in yards on deep catches, which is 20 plus yards downfield last year, this past year, and 6th in intermediate yards, 10 to 19 yards downfield. So he's catching the ball past the line of scrimmage plenty, to be obviously 10th in the league again in 20 plus yards, and then 6th in intermediate, which is 10 to 19. So it's not like that's all he could do. There's obviously some work he could do as a wide receiver. I don't think he's as good as like a Stephon Diggs as a route runner or anything like that. Or maybe like Metcalf is like a pure vertical threat, but it's not like he can't do that stuff either. And
it is a smart business move for him, right? Because if what do you have, like 70 carries last year in the regular season, something like that? I mean, you're taking a lot bigger hits, right? Like you're going to have a lot more linebackers hitting you, right? Linemen, multiple linemen falling on top of you more often and stuff. You're taking bigger hits from bigger guys. It's natural that would take more, years off your career. So it's a smart business move on his behalf, probably.
Yeah, and it could be for the Jets too. Like I get like, okay, listen, we're fighting for a playoff spot. You're gonna have to take a couple of reps at running back. Like you'd probably be okay with that. But like in games where you don't need it, maybe they don't do it as much. But it could be good for the Jets too. Like, and I get that he, year 1 he played almost all the games. Year 3 he played almost all the games. Year 2 he had an injury. But you're looking at a receiver who had like 1,700, 1,800 all-purpose yards last year. And I get that he had a lot of carries on his body last year, but he's still, he's going to be 26 until the end of the season. Turn 27 next offseason, so he's still relatively young, just hitting his prime. And it's not like he's in year 6, 7. He's been getting these carries, So like I think him having so much miles on the tires is a little bit overrated just because of 1 year of getting a lot of carries. Like you have those physical freaks. Like look how long Derrick Henry's been trucking. And obviously they're going to use him a lot less than Derrick Henry in terms of just playing him in the box and getting smacked and things like that. So I think that's a little bit overstated. I think he's a little better of a receiver than people realize he is. Would I prefer, 1-to-1 a Metcalf over him? Probably. But just because of the age factor, and again, he's a little bit more of a traditional wide receiver, but he's an freak of he's just an absolute chess piece. Like he's 1 for 1 in the league in terms of being, what he is. So I would be
just like we said, like how Tyreek is a very, very unique player and there's nobody quite like him. Deebo's very much the same way in a different way.
He's like Quincy Enunwa on steroids, or like Cordell Patterson on steroids. Like that's pretty much what he is. So
a Cordell Patterson that can actually run routes.
Yeah. So like, and in terms of like the draft capital, like we said, we're willing to get like, listen, people talk about 10 and it's too much. We pray to God that the guy at 10 would be half of what Deebo is. So like, you're not willing to give 10, but you're willing to give 35, 38 and a later round pick, which I think 35 and 38 equals like pick 13 or 14. So you're not willing to give 3 spots higher to get to, like, that's your line in the sand to not get Deebo. Like I'm giving 10 straight up any day of the week. I'm giving 10 and 69. Like I just am, what's the chance that 69 is going to work out? What's the chance that 10 is going to be half of what Deebo is? It's, even let's even be generous. 75% of what Deebo is. You're looking at a receiver who we could do this at another date. Maybe if they actually get him, he's a top 10 receiver in the NFL right now. Right. And then you consider how well he is as a running back in terms of like weapons in the NFL. I would say just weapons, running backs, tight ends, receivers. Like he's probably a top 10 player as a skill guy in the NFL. Right. Or,
oh yeah. I don't see how you could say he isn't.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about that, and easily the best player on the Jets, the best player we've had on the team since when? Like legitimately, like Brandon Marshall in his 2015 year, but he was however old, and the next year completely fell off. But like
It's like
at the
30,
peak,
31 at the time or something like
at
that.
the peak, yeah, like Brandon Marshall level impact, if not more. And before that, Darrell Revis, like we haven't had a player this good in a long time. I get the whole just year of production thing. The year of production thing. His rookie year, he was playing very well. Second year, he got hurt. Third year, came back and was used how he was and absolutely dominated. Like it's not a fluke. He's an absolute dog. So I would absolutely love to get him. But now in terms of like, which we'll hit on, I guess a little bit later if we want to really go into it. But trade or the draft, there's 1,000 options. There's guys at 10, Jamison Williams, there's Wilson, there's London. There's trading back into the first for maybe a Wilson or an Olave or one of those guys that, the late teens, early 20s. They're sitting at 35 and maybe hoping for a Dotson. There's potentially there's been talk about everybody from Deontay Johnson to DK Metcalf to Terry McLaurin. Like there are so many options that are out there. Now, how many of them are realistic in terms of trade, I don't know. But we'll figure it out, because you think like the Niners right now, if it's going to happen, which his brother came out and said he's going to get traded, he's not a Niner. We've heard just in terms of like some of the stuff that he wants to be a pure wide receiver, the whole racist comments, whatever from San Fran, he wants to get out of there because of that. Schefter hinted or said, I don't know if he said it verbatim, but that Deebo wants to be on the East Coast too, which is obviously
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, something good for the Jets, and he's pretty much saying that he doesn't want a deal from the Niners. And that he's put a halt to everything. And now today it officially came out that he wanted to trade. So like, what do you think is the chances that he is traded? And the thing I asked you before the stream was like, how many of these superstar players have requested a trade and put their line in the sand and put their foot down and said, I want to trade, and have not been traded? So I think it's very realistic that he is moved. You're just hoping it's before the draft. And you think for the 49ers, it would be kind of idiotic for them to have their first pick is like 70 or 60 or whatever it is.
61 or something like that.
61. You're going to wait until next year's picks, to get them, to get that value back for a team who was in the conference championship last year. So I think
almost made it to the Super Bowl.
You'd want to do it now. You don't want to do it later. And if he's saying no way, I'm signing with you guys, like, you think it's, a very realistic possibility? Or
I wouldn't say very realistic, but I mean, I guess it is a possibility. So my response to you was that, I mean, teams oftentimes will win a contract stalemate with players. And from a negotiation standpoint, you want to say that San Fran does have the leverage, right? I mean, like, because somebody was saying, I think it's the guy from Spot Track was saying that if Deebo weren't to play this year, he would basically not get an accrued season. And then, he wouldn't just become an unrestricted free agent. Like, he'd be a restricted free agent. And not to mention that San Fran can still tag him twice. So really, like, San Fran, does have the leverage in terms of contract negotiations and such. And who knows how bad the situation is? Like, if it's just usage, I mean, it seems like basically, I didn't hear what Schefter said about the whole East Coast thing. If it's just usage, I mean, that seems like that's something that can kind of be amenable, right? I mean, like, I know Shanahan likes to use guys on end arounds and put people in the backfield more than most coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically telling a coach who's had a lot of success as an offensive guy that he's got to do something different. And he might not like that. So I don't know if that situation could be mended, but if it's just a usage thing, in theory, that should be able to be mended. But, is there something bigger than that? And if it's something like a Deshaun Watson situation, which obviously I don't think it's anything like that. I mean, that got so ugly to the point where that situation could not be mended. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is possible, but I've been seeing from too many people that, like, hey, listen, yeah, he's requested a trade, but the Niners know that they basically got a special player and they need him to compete. And yeah, like they're going to basically be asking for the world. And Joe Douglas is the one who fleeces people in trades. He doesn't get fleeced himself. So you're talking like, what is Joe Douglas going to have to give up 2 1s to get him? I mean, he's not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of questions, and the rest of the chat too. So I'm sure there's gonna be other angles we're gonna get asked about it and hit on it. But appreciate it, NY Bully. I'm gonna start sending Kyle. He's gonna get half the super chat money when he's on. So He appreciates the super chats even more now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Snoopy talking about Kyrie. Yeah, I like Kyrie. He just needs to grow up in certain aspects. Let's see. Keep running through it. Go for it. I'm not going to say exactly.
Game 2?
Yeah, game 2. They lost last game by a buzzer beater too. It's just like Steve Nash pisses me off. He just ISO ball. Like their last 2 shots, like fadeaway threes with multiple guys in their face. I'm like, you ever?
But hold on, that's not how he played as a player, though, right? Like he was always like the dish the ball around type of dude.
Yeah, like I just don't understand, like not even like a pick to like get a guy a little bit of breathing room. Like it was just ridiculous, and blown assignments on defense. It was frustrating, to say the least. But Steven, I'll just say that you were 19. George and I guess your brother got you intoxicated, and then there were, I believe, 2 females there, and I'll just say you pulled a prank. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know if you'll remember that without me specifically saying it, but I don't want to say the whole thing. But you pulled a prank on the females that were there. So that's what I heard. I'll get some more stuff too. Let's see. Joe, can you expand on Jamison Williams' ACL surgery? How is it kind of groundbreaking? I don't know what are you at, like groundbreaking in what sense? The only thing I can think of is like players come back quicker than they ever have before from ACLs in the last couple of years. So I don't think it's groundbreaking in terms of him. I think if like groundbreaking was like Cam Akers coming back from the torn Achilles as quick as he did, but I don't think anything with Jamison Williams is groundbreaking, which is why people are kind of saying, okay, he can come back. Relatively early into the season because of how they feel about other ACL surgeries in the past. So I don't know if I'm answering that correctly, Kyle. I don't know if you have anything to add.
You probably answered it very similar to how I would have. I know that we were very young kids at the time, but when Terrell Davis, you're talking about back-to-back Super Bowls, 2,000 yards, all that kind of stuff. And, obviously it was the Shanahan system and a good line and all that kind of stuff too. It wasn't just him, but a very good player. But after he tore his ACL, he was never the same player. Right. And you're talking, that was 20 something years ago. And ACL surgeries have come a long way since then. Now it's like if a player tears their ACL, it's like, okay, yeah, it sucks that they're gone for the season. Yeah, you want to tread lightly and precautions and stuff. And maybe every now and then one goes bad, like apparently Odell's ACL surgery went bad. But really, you're not really worried about their future prospects. But if a player tore their ACL back in the day, like you were worried about their future career. Mm-hmm. Like, will this guy ever be back close to anything like he was? But the whole thing that you said about Cam Akers and the Achilles, like that was kind of groundbreaking, so to speak, because that was like unheard of. That guy could tear it in the summer and be playing by the time the playoffs roll around.
Yeah, Swolsey says Deebo is my least fave of them. DK, AJ, Terry. Can you get 100% of the potential out of the other guys, but only 75% of Deebo without Shanahan? The thing is, they run very similar systems, so I'm not really worried about him translating to this offense versus any other offense.
He'd be good in this offense. It's just like, how differently are you going to use him though, if he's got problems with his usage?
Yeah, again, like how does he feel the difference is between jet sweeps, end arounds, and actually taking a snap to run a crack toss? Like, is it that different? So, and again, I think if you sign to a longer term contract, like maybe you're hurting your potential use of him, like in terms of maximum effectiveness. But at the same time, if you want him here for a while, you're also extending his career. Like I'm sure in a playoff game he would do that stuff. Like just chill out week 2 against the Miami Dolphins when we don't give a shit about we gave a shit, obviously, 17 games, everything matters. But
I'll say this, if the Jets miraculously trade for him, when you do your film review, you have to watch every single one of his games, including the playoff games.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't say chart, but like really keep note of how often he's running certain routes and stuff, because I feel like, I don't know. I want to say like, in terms of just right now, like I know that those 90 stats that you pulled up seem like he was a pretty good vertical threat, but I almost feel like he's not the same vertical threat that Elijah Moore is. And that he's kind of more of these guys that works crosser type routes. Right.
Yeah. Which isn't, but that's not really a bad thing for our offense. Like,
yeah.
Considering that Elijah Moore can already be that vertical threat, like this offense is built on those sail concepts and like spins and cabs and all that stuff and double over. Like that's a part of the offense. So if that's his role, you use him like that. You use him short to intermediate. As the stats suggest, he was actually better than some thought. You use him on screens, use him on end arounds, use him on jet sweeps. Like he would absolutely change the offense. Like, and the thing about it too is like, again, you don't have to use him week 2, third quarter, whatever, versus the Dolphins and use him as a running back and all these, reverses and jet sweeps and all this stuff. You have guys like Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios who are kind of gadget guys as well, who can kind of help him carry that load. So he's not doing it as much. I'm sure he's not completely opposed to never doing it, but he just didn't want to do it as much to preserve his future career, which I'm okay with, because his future career, you'd hope, is going to be with the Jets long term. So I rather have, instead of having 100% of Deebo for 3 years, I rather have 90% of Deebo for 5 years. Like I'm not, obviously that's not real numbers, but I know you get what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's just to think about it from his perspective. Like, think about it. Tyreek has gotten 2 huge contracts in his career, one with the Chiefs and now one with the Dolphins, right? Like, let's say that Deebo, kind of took a big beating the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's to the point where he's just not the same Deebo 3 years from now. He's not going to get that second big payday. So I understand it from his, like, okay, I got to preserve myself at least to get that second big contract with all that guaranteed money. I get it.
Which I think is smart for him. Like either way, he's going to get $25 million as a receiver, because like, you look at pretty much every position, like the top 5 to 10 guys are going to get the next highest contract. So it's not like without the running threat, he's still not in that range. So he's still going to get a lot of money, and then he preserves himself for future years. And I'm sure, again, if it comes down to it, to get to a playoff game or to win a playoff game, he's okay with taking a couple extra reps at running back, and with that, it kind of helps the running back room out a little bit as well, So let's see. I'll keep moving through the chat. Harold, I don't think Deebo doesn't want to run the ball. I think he is fine with 30-ish amount of carries, but not the 60 between the tackles carries like last year. Yeah, exactly. Have Michael Carter do that. Have other, hopefully, I don't know, Pierce or not. Yeah, Pierce, right? Or frickin' Robinson or something like that. Do it with Carter and use.
Have you watched? Have you watched any of those guys?
A little bit, but we're gonna get to that segment later. So I want to get your opinion on those guys, and that's why I kind of sent you those 5 guys. I was like, hey, let's really get your opinion on these guys, because those are the ones who are most talked about with the Jets. So I'm definitely interested on that. Good for you, Bus. Happy for you. Let's see. Keep moving on. Trayvon Walker at 4, Leo Chanel at 10. My dream. I don't know if I'm there with you, Sluggo. I know you're a big supporter, but Leo Chanel at 10, without really having watch him. 10 feels very, very early for a linebacker in general. But for Leo especially, that's definitely early. Now, quick question, Kyle. In terms of draft plans, I want to get into a question about the draft picks too. But let's say it is a D end at 4. We're assuming that we have the 10th pick still. Let's just say we do, hypothetically, because it's similar to a Tyreek Hill trade. We have Deebo. We have Thibodeau. Let's just say Thibodeau. At 10, what do you think is going to happen there? Obviously people say, "Oh, trade down." Okay, you can't trade down. There's no offer. What are you hoping for at 10? What are those options?
So you're saying that we did trade for Deebo or for Deebo?
We have Deebo, okay. So we probably don't have 35, 38. We have edge rusher, whoever it may be, at 4. At 10, what are we looking at, you think?
Wow, so we didn't have to give up 10, and we still got Deebo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay. I think you're living in dreamland now, but okay.
We almost did. It's going to be the same thing for Tyreek Hill. What if we offer 30, 35, 38, and 69?
Well, I mean, realistically speaking, why does it change? Okay, so let's say we got Deebo. We gave up 35, 38, 69. Mm-hmm. Okay. And at 4, I'm hoping that it's Sauce, and then at 10, Carl. Okay, why would that change? Why would it change?
That's the dream. Obviously, that's both of our dreams. Sauce goes 3 to the Texans, and now you pick Thibodeau or Walker at 4. Okay, so
I'm
now
taking
10
Thibodeau.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm taking Thibodeau.
I'm asking at 10. That's what I'm saying. You have the D end at 4. 10 rolls around. What do you think are a few realistic options? Because now you're not going to take London. Now you're not going to take Jamison Williams. Now you're not going to take Wilson. You have your DN, so you're not taking Karlaftis. You're not taking Jermaine Johnson. Who is that next group of players, if you can't trade down, that you would kind of be hoping for at that point?
Jeez. Um, do you have a good answer to this question? Because you kind of got me off the top of my head, because I was going to say
I think
trade back, but then you're putting me between a rock and a hard place.
realistically, I think it'd be most likely between I'm not taking a tackle, I'm not taking anything like that, I'm not taking a D tackle. I think it would probably be, and I'm not saying this is my personal opinion on preference or any player or anything like that. Stingley, McDuffie, Nakobe Dean, Lloyd, maybe Hamilton if he's there. Like that's the group of players I think you'd be.
I think I would take Stingley.
You think you take Stingley?
Yeah.
I think I would take Dean, to be completely honest, at that point. Which
I feel like it's too early for him, man.
I can argue it's too early for Stingley with how he's played the last 2 years and the injury concerns of the past.
I don't
2
think
years
he's played bad the last 2 years, just maybe not as good.
Has he played like a top 10 pick? Because I don't think so.
You don't think so because he hasn't been on the field, or his tape's just not that good?
Well, the tape wasn't that good. Like you watched the review, like those 2 games I watched from 2022. Like I wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, I'm taking this guy in the first round, probably. Like he was playing like a second round, maybe late first round guy. A lot of the hype was of him was 2019. It wasn't, oh well, it was 2019 and he played great in 2020 and 2021 when he played. He just didn't play at the same level. So I would say I would take Dean over him. And I know that's early for a linebacker, but I absolutely love Dean, which, by the way, that review just came out today. So make sure. I know people are kind of drafted out right now, so people don't really give a shit about the reviews, but it's like an hour.
I was rewatching some of Dean recently when I was watching Walker, and I started to watch some of Scene too, even though he's definitely really not realistic, being that the Jets signed Whitehead. And Dean is a very fun player, and we gushed about him in our last stream that we did. But I see why Jeremiah said that he could, like, his range of where he could go is kind of all over the place. Maybe fall to the second round, could go as high as 15 or something like that. You taking him at 10, I think, is too early. There's too many question marks there. Like, number one, he's short. You get a short guy like that, teams throw all these crossing routes and stuff. Is he going to be able to get up and potentially deflect one of these balls? That's a concern. But also, like, he's on the smaller side. And, like, yeah, sometimes he can pull a CJ Mosley and contort his body and bend around a guy and get in on the tackle. But what about when he's got to take a guy head on? What about when you're going against the New England Patriots, who, thank God, they don't have Shaq Mason anymore? And, Shaq Mason's pulling. He's got to take on Shaq Mason. Like, sometimes you can. Yeah, but
is the weight a concern though? Because he's
like what, 227 or something like that.
He's like 230, 5'11". So like weight per square inch, like he's really not that.
Yeah,
thin.
But okay, but tell me, did you see from time to time him get moved a little bit? Because I did.
Yeah, I see.
We're talking about taking a linebacker in the top 10. All right,
I see a lot. So okay. So a few things with this. One, we're talking about taking a linebacker in the top 10 in a draft that's not very top heavy. It's not. It's absolutely stacked at the top. I think at that point he might just be the best player on the board. So I'm willing to, like, the whole thing about like the pass coverage, like the difference between 5'11" and 6'2", like that difference in like 2-3 inches. Like we're like the crossing routes. Is it really going to be that slim of a difference between deflecting a pass? Like Vilma was short. There's plenty of short linebackers, and it's not like he's 220. Like Darius Leonard's like 230, 235, but he's like 6'3", 6'4". So in terms of like him being naturally low and naturally carrying his weight as he does, am I worried about him being able to contort and get around linebackers? Not really, because unless you use your athleticism, a lot of guys don't stand up linebackers.
He's a good player. He's really smart. He's very instinctual. But let's not act like he's a great athlete either. There's a reason why he didn't run a 40-yard dash.
I don't think he's a bad athlete. I think he's a good athlete. I don't know why.
He's a fine athlete. He's a fine athlete, especially in college football. But those boys are a lot faster in the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if I'm on par with you there, because some of the plays I have of him, like dodging guys, like in terms of like his lateral burst and like just straight line burst, like he put some plays that were ridiculously athletic on film.
And I think a lot of it is just because, like, he's not second guessing himself. Like, he's just going because he has those instincts. But instincts only get you so far. I'm not trying to hate on the player, Joe. I like him. Right. I've really never even said anything bad about him to this point. We're talking about taking him at 10. That's why I'm giving you pushback right now.
Oh, I know. I get it. But we're also talking about taking Stingley at 10, which if you're raising questions about Dean, I can raise just as many questions about Stingley, just in terms of him being healthy.
One position's way more valuable. All right.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So we're factoring that in there too.
And one position we have a much bigger hole at than the other.
And okay. So let's say Stingley at his best compared to Dean at his best.
Okay. Are we talking about
We're
Stingley at his best 3 years ago? Because that's a while ago.
2 years ago. 2 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay. 2019 is a long time ago. Like, are we talking about Stingley then, or are we talking about and then just going to completely?
Yeah, we're talking
avoid
about
the
Stingley
questions?
then, just because you know that he has that potential in him, especially if he gets good coaching at the
Okay.
next level, right? Okay.
So then he should be the first overall pick at that point, but that's not the case.
I'm just saying, you know, the potential's there though. Like if you believe in the player, right, and you don't see any character issues, and the medicals aren't a huge concern for you, like you think that he's recovered.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm just saying, like I don't see how you could take Dean over Stingley.
Especially with the 4th pick, like if we're talking about taking a D end and we're looking at Walker, who just by the pick and just based on how he's played is a risk, or Thibodeau, who's also a risk, and we're going to double that up with Stingley. I can't do that. That's just way too risky. Where I feel like Dean, regardless of him being 3 inches shorter than the next guy, and that's gonna make him not undraftable, but not draftable that pick. Like if it was a stacked top of the draft, I'll be willing. But Dean versus Stingley at 10, I'm taking Dean over Stingley, which call me crazy, but I just don't like that much volatility between both pick 4 and 10, assuming the D end, that we get at 4 in this situation would be Walker or would be, again, Thibodeau. So that's just a lot of, they could completely both bust out. Like what if Stingley gets injured again, or what if he doesn't perform after a contract? Like there's a lot of questions about him. And I have a lot more, again, just overall general questions about him versus Dean. I get it. Or even I think Hamilton would be a possibility there. I heard there was rumbling from inside the Jets that they really like Hamilton. So maybe if he was there,
yeah, I've been hearing that for months that they really like him.
So I guess we'll see. Obviously, we only have another couple of days or a couple, 190 hours, whatever it is, to figure that out. But it'd be interesting. That's kind of like, and I'm gonna get to the back of the chat in a little bit, but like, there's another conversation about like kind of the value of the picks. Like people are saying the difference, like, okay, so 35 and 38 equal like the 13th or 14th or the 15th pick, whatever, versus 10, which obviously carries a lot of weight, but not as much weight as in past years because of the lack of top heaviness in this class. Like at what point is it almost more beneficial to have 35, 38, and maybe let's just say 111 versus having, I don't know if 111 gets you from 14, to 10 or 69 or whatever. Like at what point do you want those mid-round picks over 10? I'm not sure really if you know what I'm asking you, but
no, I understand what you're saying. Like, is it better in a sense than having?
So let me interrupt you before you even do it, because it's a good way to look at it. In the situation we just laid out, okay? So you take Thibodeau, Walker, whoever at 4, let's just say a DN in general, whoever you'd like. I don't care if it's Jermaine Johnson. Personally, I would throw up, but nonetheless. Then at 10, it is that Stingley, Dean, whoever conversation versus having 35 and 38 and 69 or 111, because what is the drop off between those players and the players you can get at 35 and 38 where you get multiple swings at the bat? Like it's definitely an interesting kind of conversation to have.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say is
okay,
because I don't like the whole phrase that the draft is a crapshoot in a way, but there is at least a grain of truth in that, right? That statement. So, I don't know the whole draft valuation charts, what's worth however many points and stuff, but based on what you said, that seems to make sense. Like, okay, 35, 38 and a 4th round pick or whatever, is that equal to number 10? Mm-hmm. When you factor in, 3 pretty high picks, it almost seems like that would be better because it is more shots at the board versus, say you take a guy at 10, like, there is always the injury factor, right? Even though he could have been a good player, an injury could derail one person's career. So it almost might be better. I don't know.
So the Jets have 35 is 550, and this is from Draft Tech, 550 and 520. So we're talking about 1,080, which is just between let's just say the 14th pick, or let's just say the 15th pick to be cautious. So then the difference between 15 and 10 is 250. So then 250 is worth about 69. So would you rather? So that's exactly. It's almost identical actually. So in a situation where you have, again, Deebo, you have you're trading for Deebo, and then you have the D end at 4, which obviously we'd have to like have a future sight on this, because ideally it's Sauce at 4, and then at 10 I'd rather have Karl Loftus than 35 and 38. But let's just say that we know that's the D end. Would you rather have 35, 38, and 69, or would you rather have 10? Because they're about equal in value.
Tell me that question one more time.
Send it again. So we
I
get
was about to say
Deebo, we get Deebo, and I know it's
Okay.
it's kind of having like futuristic sight here, but like, would you rather trade Deebo for 10 or for just 35, 38, and 69 straight up? Because again, that's about the value of that 10th overall pick.
Well, okay. So
Considering
I
it's
want
not
I want to
top-heavy
run.
draft.
So I'm going to run my thoughts by you and see what you think.
They suck.
We're talking about some of these receivers that could be there in the early second round, and I guess because we have Deebo, we're not thinking receiver there anymore. I'm not the hugest draft dude. I mean, like I've been watching a lot of tape lately of a lot of these guys, but when I'm starting to think about some of the names of guys that we could maybe draft early second round, like I started watching some of Maffei's tape, and there's definitely something there, man. Like he is like explosive, but he is like very raw. And his arm length is definitely a problem. Like I started watching his tape before I looked at any of his measurables. And I noticed that like these long tackles who are not even athletic are getting their hands on him really early and kind of shutting him down. Then I was like, let me look at his measurables. And he's got like 32 something inch arms or whatever. So like length for him is definitely a problem, but he's still raw. Honestly, and I watched 3 games of him. And then I started watching the kid from Oklahoma. Honestly, he seems like he's a better, more refined pass rusher at this point. What's his name? Do you remember his name?
No, I can get from
Number 11.
Benito?
Benito, yeah.
Okay, it is Benito.
Yeah, Benito. Again, I only watched 1 game of him because I don't have any more at this point. I'm going to get some more soon. But he seemed like he was like a definitely a better pass rusher at this point. But like none of those guys, like they're not doing it for me. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to take this guy at 35. But also, I'd love to take this guy at 38.
At what point are you willing to risk them falling to 35 at that point as well? You know?
Yeah. So I feel like I'd probably rather have 10 just based on what I know. And maybe if I knew more about some of these players, like maybe I'd think differently.
Yeah. So to me, like, and I'll go kind of in the middle of my thinking and then like kind of give you my final answer. I think if you were to guarantee me an edge at 4, whether, it'd be Walker, Hutchinson, obviously Thibodeau, I would rather in that situation have 35, 38, and 69 because you have your D end. My concern is, okay, the D end isn't there at 4. Let's just say Sauce Gardner at 4, and then you traded away 10, and now there's 10, for Deebo, and now you're sitting at 35 with no D end to take. Like that's the worst scenario possible. Like, so if you can guarantee me, okay, like ideally it's Sauce 4, Karlaftis 10, you trade for Deebo, but you can't guarantee me that. So I can't take that risk. So I think I'd rather trade, obviously 35, 38, and 69. But future sight, if you can tell me the end's coming at 4, then I would rather have, the shots at 35, 38, 69 over Stingley, Dean, whoever else. So just an interesting point to bring up in terms of what they can trade for him, because people are like, oh my God, yeah, I'll trade 35, 38, and whatever else, but no way 10. It's like, especially in a class that's not overly top heavy, it's not so different. But what the Hill trade was 35, 38, 69 for and they were giving back like a 4th, right? Or something like that. So
yeah, I think that's right. Hey, did the New York Bully give us another super chat?
I did not. I'm far down. Okay, I'm far down. I'll get to it in a minute. We'll go over this, Kyle, because it got brought up obviously here. Jamesy 1, 2, 3 couriers for depth. I think our signing of Jacob Martin is underrated. I think he could be good for just pure pass rush aspect. Turns the corner pretty quickly, ridiculously quickly. But the Jets signed back Vinny Curry today. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
But what are your thoughts on that re-signing, since it got brought up here by Jamesy?
I mean, I liked the signing when they signed him last year. It's a shame that he didn't get to play for us at all. So I don't think they would have signed him if his health wasn't looking promising. I mean, they had him in their building for a while and knew very well of his medical issues once they, came to light. So I have to think that, okay, he's probably on a good medical path going forward. And they probably gave him like a veteran minimum or whatever. So I want to say I like it because, he was a pretty decent player all this time in Philly.
Okay, so we're going to transition to draft stuff in a little bit, but just because we're talking about signings, yeah, and in general, I like the signing. I thought he was going to be a very good reserve player. I watched the film. There's a breakdown out there, probably like an hour long-ish, whatever, and I really like him as a rotational guy. So I love the Jets' depth on the line right now in terms of having Curry, Martin, and Huff as rotational DNs. Now, maybe people think, okay, maybe they're hedging their bets. They don't get at the end, and they have all these guys to step in on third down, where like maybe JFM plays, on the outside on early downs, and then you have Curry or Martin or Huff come to the outside on pass rushing downs, and you flex JFM inside. Worst case scenario, I don't think it's a bad plan. So I think they're hedging their bets, and if not, they're spending a couple of $1 million on guys who are going to be fresh and really good at rushing the passer. Because I like Curry a lot, I like Martin a lot, and his upside, like James is saying, and I like Huff. Huff obviously had a down year, but that's really good depth. If you are to add, let's say Thibodeau or whoever else in the draft, like that's pretty ridiculous to be completely honest. So. I know I'm behind the chat, but I'll get to this quickly. Kyle, then the Jets signed to exclusive rights contracts, so you're assuming they're going to be on the Jets. They re-signed Guidry, Ward, Jeff Smith, and Elijah Riley. Do you have thoughts on those four guys quickly?
I'm definitely a fan of Guidry. Jeff Smith, like I said last time we brought him up, what's the role for him? Underutilized guy. I don't really have much thoughts of him as a receiver, but I'd like to see him more on the gadget type of stuff. I'd like to see him throw a pass or two here or there. You said Elijah Riley. He was fun. I liked, he had the scare when he had that injury, right? But I definitely liked what I saw from him. And you mentioned one more guy, right?
Tim Ward, I think is.
Yeah, Tim Ward, man. I don't know. He flashed in that Atlanta game, but I didn't see basically anything from him. I don't think he's going to make the team, if I'm being honest. Especially we're talking about depth and stuff. And if they're going to draft a guy or they're going to draft an edge or two in this draft, how's he going to make the team?
I think the same thing. Like if you were to draft one more guy at the end, like you have Lawson, let's just say it's Thibodeau, you have Martin, Curry, Huff, kind of JFM. Like, is he going to make the team? Maybe not. Jeff Smith, if he's going to make the team, it's as a sixth guy, backup gadget guy. So he probably, if I had to bet my money on it, won't make it. Riley, does he make it? I think they like Will Parks. I think they like Joyner. They obviously like Whitehead. Is he going to make the team over Ashton Davis or whoever else? Probably not. So we're probably looking at Guidry as the fifth or sixth corner in terms of like backup slot, and then just a guy who can step in. I like Guidry. That's definitely the best one of the groups. I think he could legitimately play some backup slot and not look out of place. Like when he came in his rookie year, he didn't look out of place. Like he actually looked decent. So Guidry is definitely a good backup to have. So I'm happy with that. Now the next kind of signing thing we're going to talk about before we get right back into the chat and just fly through it. So I'm always behind the chat. I'm always like 30 minutes behind. And then we have some more topics to get into. The Jets have had a visit with Quan Alexander. Any thoughts about that? And any kind of like off-topic thoughts about, okay, people just assume that they like Quincy Williams and Sherwood and Najluddin. Does this kind of show you that the Jets know that they have a need at linebacker?
I think it definitely shows that they have a need at linebacker. I wish I could comment more on him as a player. Mm-hmm. I can't say that I watched a ton of him over the years. Obviously, teams bring in players that they have familiarity with. So, I mean, I guess I was kind of happy when I saw the news because, okay, they're addressing a need. And obviously he has familiarity, but it's like, okay, like I don't think he was ever a great player. And
he was solid when he was with the Bucs. And I know the last 2 years, the last couple of years, he's had some injuries. I think the last 2 years, though, he's played in 12 games both years. So it's not like he's been injured, but if you're getting for 12 games, sign me up, backup coverage guy, a guy who right now, if you tell me, okay, you have him versus Najluddin versus Sherwood without obviously really diving into it. Are you more comfortable with who are you more comfortable with starting? I'm going to say Quan Alexander because he's been there, done that. Yeah, sure. So I like that. And I also like the fact that it's kind of signaling to me that, okay, the Jets know they need some players, if not at least just depth at linebacker. So I think they're going to look to add another start. I really think that there should be a linebacker picked by the Jets in the first 3 rounds. So move to the chats. Your thoughts on 49ers saying they're not trading him? That's generic. That's going to be generic. Even if they are looking to trade him, they're not going to come out and say, yeah, we're looking to trade him because it's going to drive down the value. They're trying to drive it up. So the real Jay, Kyle, I'll throw this to you. How do we feel about the Honey Badger? We can use him, that type of playmaker on the back end of the defense.
Not interested. I know he's one of the more popular players across the league in terms of the fan base, and players throughout the league love him too. But he's in his 30s now. You already just spent some money in safety. I know he's a versatile type of player, but with age, I think you lose some of that versatility. Not interested. You're not going to get him for cheap.
Yeah, if it was cheap, okay, cool. But for 12, 13, 14, whatever $1 million it's going to cost, maybe even less. Like let's say even 11, something like that. Like I'd rather use that capital elsewhere versus Tyrann Mathieu. I think at this point you're probably paying for a little bit more of the name versus the actual play. We have to look at D tackle. We have to look at backup offensive tackle. We have to look at maybe a run stuffing D tackle in free agency at this point, like some of those added on guys, not a big splash guy unless it's for a receiver. So I'd rather fill some of the holes, than splash for a guy who I don't think is necessarily worth it. So
get to the New York Bullies super chat first, I think,
okay,
before you get to other ones.
Go back up to 6
because that was a while ago.
I had this one, which was Bo Harvick, that's a race car driver, right? Thank you, Lord Voldemort. I appreciate it. He's in here last time. I told him
Boo Harvick, Kevin Harvick, the race car driver?
It's a Harvick. Harvick's a race car driver, right? I don't. Thanks. Like I said,
I don't know if he's still doing it.
My wife's a big fan of Harry Potter. Not necessarily Voldemort, but appreciate.
I thought you were going to say your wife's a big fan of NASCAR. I was like,
no.
My dad's a huge NASCAR fan.
Just Voldemort. NY Bully, another one. Appreciate it again. Says for $10, Douglas has done a hell of a job adding depth to our squad, especially on the D line. Yeah, the D line depth is ridiculous. If we trade 10 and 69 for Deebo, I'm cool with trading 4 to New Orleans for 16 and 19 and drafting Karlaftis at 16. So let's just assume that all happens where we're able to get Karlaftis at 16. Kyle, I would be that's almost a dream right there, to be completely honest.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, we're completely the only thing that kind of screws it up for me is like, okay, let's say in this situation, because I think right now Kyle and I sign on dotted line 10 and 69 for Deebo. We're both doing it. We both like Karlaftis enough to probably not draft him at 4, but at least consider it. And definitely we think it's a slam dunk at 10. So if you get him at 16, sign us the hell up, and you get 19 and a draft again is not top heavy. The problem here comes with, okay, Kyle, we're both going to say yes to this, obviously. Now let's throw in a wrinkle where in this situation, you had Sauce Gardner sitting on the board at 4. Are you still doing it?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
If I have Sauce Gardner on the board, no way.
I agree with you. That's the wrinkle.
But okay. And it'd be interesting if Sauce Gardner wasn't on the board. Like, who were we also looking to target at 19? That would be interesting. And
Dean, our boy Dean, right there.
I'm cool with him at 19, sure.
Okay.
And let me say this. So I don't think that Joe completely agrees with me on like final rankings and stuff with this, but so I watched Blewett's review of all these guys, and then I watched my own tape study, and between different players, like I had about 4 or 5 games. Some of them I only had like 2 or 3, and I'm looking to get some more coaches film of each of these edge rushers. But I watched as much as I had available, which is more than 99% of fans out there that have strong opinions on these players.
Yeah.
My final edge rusher rankings, I had Karlaftis at 2.
Yeah, Kyle, we're going to get into that. So I'm
just saying it because he's super chat and he brought up Karlaftis' name in the super chat. So
yeah, I'm going to bring that up in a little bit. I'm trying to scroll down because I really should let the super chat just go immediately and then scroll back up to the other chats. I'm trying to find the other one because there was one in here. Yeah, we'll do this one first. But I want to get into the DNs, the running backs. Okay. In general, and then I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you about like your big board for like your top 10 players. Well, so I'll have
to put one of those together before draft night because I don't necessarily.
No, you should do it. You should do it. You should. You're going to do it. You're going to do it tonight. So you better prepare. Girth Brooks. As much as I would like Deebo on this team. Thank you for the super chat. Obviously, it would be very Jets like to coach the Senior Bowl, then trade all of our picks away. So the thing, I think the Senior Bowl is a little bit overrated. Like people are like, oh, the Niners coached it years ago and they drafted all these players. You actually look at it. I think they drafted like one guy from the Senior Bowl that they coached. Like you actually look at the numbers. There's not really much correlation. Like yeah, it's a benefit, but I don't think they're going to say, you know what, we really know that we like this guy from the Senior Bowl. We're not going to trade it for Deebo. Like I get it, Girth. It's definitely a benefit in the 3rd, 4th rounds to have that one-on-one with these guys. But it's not like that information is not passed around anyway. So I think you're probably overrating coaching the Senior Bowl, to be completely honest. So Kyle, what are your thoughts? Regardless, I appreciate the super chat for sure.
Yeah, and how many picks would you really be trading away? It's not like you're trading away your whole draft or anything like that. Or
So it's a Tyreek Hill trade. You're trading 35, 38, 69. You're getting back a fourth.
Yeah, and what's to say that like at the spots where you're picking, like you're not going to force it. Like, oh, like we coached the Senior Bowl. We're definitely going to draft this guy. I mean, like Sauce Gardner, Thibodeau, none of those guys went to the Senior Bowl. Like whoever you're going to get at 10, they didn't go to the Senior Bowl. I mean, okay, maybe Johnson, but he's probably like the only one, right? Jermaine Johnson, like
that I can think of.
So
yeah, so I'm gonna throw this to you, and again, I appreciate it, Girth Brooks. Always love the name. Harold's basically. So I think Rush is becoming solid rotation of Lawson, JFM, Martin, Curry, Huff is pretty good. I think edge is needed. If you can hear the lawnmower in the background, tell me. I'll close my window.
No, I can't hear it.
But we can definitely go BPA at 4, not reach if we don't have an edge rated high. To me, still with adding Curry, with adding Martin, if they don't get at the end at 4 or 10, the first 10 picks, it's still a massive disappointment for me.
Yeah, because that's one of the best position groups in this whole class, and you have 2 top 10 picks where you could realistically land one of these guys. And Saleh, he's made it known that he really emphasizes that in his scheme and stuff. And you really want 2 good ones. Like you want guys coming off both ends and collapsing that pocket. So
now we'll do
and as much as we both love Carl Lawson, with his injury history, he's a little bit of a question mark. So.
Yeah. So, we did this last year, and we're going to have our shows, like our theme shows later in the offseason, top 25 players and ranking us versus other teams and ranking the position groups versus, the NFL, whatever. But let's say it was KT, because I think he's probably the favorite to be the pick right now at the Jets. If they were to grab KT and you have KT, Lawson, Rankins, Curry, Martin, Q,
I think Sauce is still the favorite, according to what Samini said. He put out some polls, projections, and stuff, and supposedly the Vegas odds are saying that KT is actually like the favorite to go number 2 now.
Okay, honestly, like to me, it's a real mental battle between taking KT or Sauce at 4, and I think I've changed a little bit to taking to Sauce. I can't pass on that talent and how secure I feel like he's going to be a good player. Where I have questions about KT, but regardless,
I think his floor is significantly higher than.
Let's just say it is KT. Let's just say it is KT, Walker, whoever, whoever you prefer. If they grab one of those DNs at 4 and you have that D line again, Lawson, Martin, Curry, blah 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 blah, JFMQ. Do you think that puts us back into like that top 5 conversation of DNs or defensive lines in general in the NFL?
A lot of that would depend on how Quinnen plays this year, Joe.
But I'm asking you now.
Top 10, yes. I don't know about top 5. I'd have to really sit and think about all the different D lines throughout the league. I'll tell you what, man, that Bills defensive line in our own division. Whew. You want to talk about a loaded D line right now?
Plus the coverage they have in the back end with White, Poyer, and Hyde, dude. Like their defense is gonna be disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting. And the range that they have with Edmonds, like, damn, man.
They have so much depth. You want to talk about depth on our D line? Look at the depth on their D line. Yeah. And they just re-signed. Listen, Jordan Phillips, who had like 10-something plus sacks when he was with them a couple of years ago, they just re-signed him too.
Sluggo he mentioned something before, and sorry, Sluggo, but I didn't pull that up, but it was something about the surgery being innovative. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I couldn't tell you, but if it works, great. I don't really know. I don't really know about the surgery. Let's see. Hawk. Is this Hawk? Because I know the Hawk before had like a picture of a dude with
different
a mustache.
Picture. Yeah.
Same Hawk, different
it's
picture.
Probably the same person.
Hawk, you're really fucking me up. I go on pictures usually, minus the people who have like the generic, R or T or whatever. Something else I don't know actually. On Super Chats, do you pick your color, or is that just a thing? Does it just come up those colors?
That is a good question. I don't know.
Kyle, you should donate $5 and see. $250 goes to me, $250 goes back to you. So,
I'll say this: I have noticed that like. For example, New York Bully, like he consistently does a lot. Like he always comes up in that goldish yellow.
It's always gold. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Certain people like red, So like I guess you can pick. Rusty, what's up, man? Let's see. Yo, Steve-O, shit's getting intense. That means okay. Back to this. I'm about 30 minutes behind, so I'm gonna move through again. Sorry if I skip some stuff. It's just Super chats are always going to go. You guys know there's a fuck ton of chats in here, and we can't hit everything. But I agree with this one, Chris. Smash the like button. Again, just a quick overview. One, I just put out a shit ton of reviews. I think McDuffie came out, Stingley came out, Dean came out, Lloyd's coming out. I know people are drafted out, but if you want to learn about the players, go watch me gush over Dean for an hour and realize why Kyle was wrong about taking him at 10. And then past that,
Not
again,
that I'm opposed to him at 10 in general, but like if you're giving me the option between him and Stingley,
you rather just take the really risky player. It's fine.
And it's not just okay. Like this is like a logical fallacy, like appeal to authority and like whatever consensus building is or whatever. But like, how many people would agree with you to take Dean over Stingley at 10?
Let's do a poll.
And there's a lot of smart people too that would also not agree with you there.
Okay. Well, guess what we're gonna do now. I don't care about what's smart people. Who we talk, Kyle? Let's not get into that conversation. What smart people are you talking about?
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just mute this. So Kyle and I are part of this. We're having this conversation. So I want you guys. How the hell do I do this? I have to change my thing. I don't do polls a lot, but because you said that, Kyle, how the hell?
So you're doing it on Twitter or here?
No, I'm gonna do it on here. I just got to figure out how to switch my.
I have no clue how to do that.
No,
While you figure that out, I'm gonna comment on what Rusty Spooner, our boy, said. Sam Mills Jr., who went to my alma mater, Rusty, Montclair State University, was 5'9", and he seemed to work out. Height isn't everything, Kyle. Brains, high football IQ mixed with speed are killer. Okay, I agree with you, Rusty. He was a very, very good player, but he's the exception, not the norm. And I do think that Dean can be an exception, but like, listen, was Sam Mills even drafted, right? Like teams knew about that risk. Like, I'm just saying, like, is he worth the 10th pick? When you have someone like, I'll just say this, like, LSU has been known as DBU from time to time, right? And there are a lot of people out there and stuff that say that, like Trey White, obviously, he went like 27th overall to the Bills and he's become a great player, one of the shutdown corners in the league.
Pull us up.
But if you talk to people, in LSU circles and stuff, some of them think that Stingley is the best corner to come out of LSU since Pat Pete. So, that's over Trey White and other people that have come out of there. All right, so you got the poll up now. All right, so you obviously voted. I'll vote as well.
I don't know if I voted, to be honest.
You should.
I should vote on my own phone.
I mean, obviously, you're going to have in this particular chat. It's called Blewett Blitz. So
you're literally on here. Not just as much. But, I don't think people have the bias towards me. Okay, I think you guys are overrating DK. Okay.
Who are you overrating?
DK Metcalf. I don't know. Overrated. He's a top 10 receiver, no matter how you want to slice it. I
think Joe has him in terms of the preference of those receivers that we could potentially trade for. Joe definitely has him on the preference list higher than I do.
Mm-hmm. Just watch Brett Coleman's video on Nakobe Dean. Are you all concerned about his size? The height thing, it's not about like necessarily going over the middle and taking on linemen. It's more about like seeing into the backfield to read and diagnose his keys. But I'm not like Vilma was similar.
But what's his arm length too? Because I don't know that off the top of my head, but that can also be a concern too, because you don't always want to take on blockers with your shoulder and stuff. Sometimes you want to use your arms to extend out so you can keep them off you and stuff too. So, I mean,
yeah, but how often does that happen? Like, how often are you really stacking and shedding guys versus just using your lateral mobility? Like, how often does CJ Mosley really like do that versus using his
not so often, but he's
okay.
But there's not a ton of players that play like him, and like CJ is very good at that, right?
He's in the 34th percent of arm length.
Okay, so that's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not like it's too
not bad. Not bad.
He has 31-inch arms. We're talking about
and dude, like in terms of height, in one way, it definitely is an advantage in the sense that like football 101, low man wins, right? All your Pop Warner coaches told you get low when you make a tackle, get low when you make a block, right? Yeah. Everybody knows that, and a lot of running backs are short. So, sometimes those bigger linebackers, they got to get down on a 5'10", 5'9", Michael Carter height type running back. I mean, that's not always easy. So in that sense, it's an advantage for Dean in that sense.
Like what? So he's 5'11", 229. His arms are longer or just as long as Hutchinson's. Now, like just in terms of him versus Devin Lloyd, like a linebacker or an offensive lineman pulling to them, like who do you have more faith in Lloyd or Dean in terms of defeating that block? However you go about defeating that block.
Dean, but
Okay. So
Dean, I will say this though, like, Lloyd, if he can get more coaching and stuff, and one of the reasons why Dean is so good is he's so instinctual. And you could tell that he loves football too.
Mhm.
So he studies the game a lot. This is something we talked about. With Lloyd, if he can ever become more of an instinctual player and stuff, like he does just have more of that raw physicality and stuff, that he could become a better player.
But what's that middle ground? Because I'm much more about the mental and technique than I am about relying on the physical upside. And it's not like he doesn't have physical upside; he has plenty of it. So, I'm not so concerned about the size. I'm not I'd rather have him be Tremaine Edmonds or Fred Warner and one of these guys who's tall and lanky, or whatever. But I don't think him being 230 at 5'11" is crazy.
Hey, Rusty, don't compare Nakobe Dean to Ray Lewis. All right, Ray Lewis was also 245, and he was insanely fast too, especially in his younger years. Right, Nakobe Dean didn't even run a 40, and I think it's telling why he didn't.
Yeah, let's see. Moving on. Kev Chada, who we usually agree with. Imagine the hundreds of mocks we've done, and we lose a bunch of the picks for an injury-prone 1 out of 3 years, Kev. So let's be fair with that. $30 million receiver that doesn't want to be used as an all-purpose wide receiver anymore. Response, Kyle?
Imagine the hundreds of mocks we've done and a bunch of picks.
Trial Day, Ray Lewis is also a murderer. Yes, but okay, go ahead, Kyle.
Murderer on the field. He wasn't convicted in the court of law. All right, want to be used as an all-purpose wide receiver anymore. Shaking my head. I'm not really. Wait. What is there a question here or something? Or,
I guess he's basically saying that he's not worth $30 million, and he doesn't want to be used in the way that he's effective. But he said 25 million. So it's 25 million, which is a going rate, especially if you're considering him versus Christian Kirk. That's a worthwhile price for a guy who's a top 10 receiver. He has injured 1 year. I know he's been had minor nickups and stuff, but if he's not used as much as a running back, he's not.
Apparently, he also had extensive injury histories in college too. What I heard.
Did AJ Brown? You want to trade for AJ Brown?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I love AJ Brown. Man.
I think that's a going rate for really good superstar receivers now. So, these mock drafts. I get we go to all these websites. Which, Kyle, maybe I'll put you on a heater at the end of this, and I'll put you on a mock draft, and you're gonna get 30 seconds to do each pick.
Jeez.
Just to do it at the end for your final mock draft, or maybe I'll give you a minute per pick. I'm trying to go to 8, but you're probably gonna push past that a little bit. But I think that's a going rate. Do we? I don't know. I'm not really there with you on that one. Hawk, Garrett Wilson at 10, best running back in the draft at 38 would equal production Deebo for $100 million less.
Joe, how you feeling? Okay,
it's a large leap to make, Hawk, on Garrett Wilson.
Joe, you get either Sauce at 4 or I don't know, Thibodeau at 4.
Okay.
And then Garrett Wilson's the pick at 10. You weren't able to get Deebo. You weren't able to get any of these other guys. How do you feel?
Sauce at 4 and a receiver at 10?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson specifically.
I'm gonna be drunker than I should be coming onto this stream after that.
You really don't like Garrett Wilson? I mean, I know you like him, but you don't like him at 10.
No way at 10. And then telling me that we didn't get at the end, that is a clusterfuck in my opinion. I would be very disappointed. So let's see. Moving on. Again, I'm trying to get even with the chat, and I am very, very far behind. Very, very, very far. Problem for us fans who don't know character of players, trust shady. Yeah, that's what I've talked about a lot. Sluggo, I think that's
a good point.
That's where I've been with KT the entire time. If they're comfortable with his character, take him at 4. If not, don't. And that's where I fall with him and Stingley. Kyle wants Stingley at 4. I do not want Stingley at 4. Just kidding. Let's see. McCreary at 35. If you're gonna go for Dino Arms, dude. Honestly, McDuffie in a trade down too. People overlook McDuffie a little bit at this point. Just
we seem to forget about him. We were talking about take that scenario before, where if we were to make that deal with the Saints and move to 16 and 19. Maybe scooping him at 19 or something like that wouldn't be bad.
I'd really have to sit down and think about him versus, let's just say everything being equal, doesn't matter if it's 10, 16, 19, him versus Stingley. I think I might say McDuffie over Stingley, but I get the short arms thing. I do.
Stingley has some special traits, man. Like you see the way that he flips his hips and can transition in while the route's in phase, man. I don't know. I don't know.
He's an elite athlete. Like you talk about, dude. Trust me, I'm there with you. Like him versus Sauce as an athlete, Stingley is the superior athlete to Sauce because of the size he carries with the way he moves as well.
By the way, just before we got on here, I was rewatching some Sauce, man, just because we've been hyping him up so much lately. And dude, like he just squeezes receivers to the sidelines, man. And the word bully came to mind. Like he just like literally can just like bully a dude to the sideline. Just like shuts him down, man. He's like the definition of clamps.
You guys are throwing out thousands of. I am so far behind the chat. It is ridiculous. I got to keep moving, but I'm going to throw out again the super chats. I'm going to make them go first. The Jet Show, appreciate the $5 super chat. What do you think about Cameron Thomas? I'm thinking great project as a 3rd round pick. Kyle, have you watched Cam Thomas?
I wish I'll say this because edge is a big need, and we know the Jets want to address it. And you know, if they do take Sauce or Aquanu, because I keep hearing Aquanu as a possibility at 4. You know, it is possible that maybe we don't nail one of those guys in the top 10 picks, especially because they want to nail a receiver too. I've been watching a lot of these guys, so I'm going to get around to some of these 2nd and 3rd round guys as well. I haven't watched them yet, but I will. Like I said, I started. I'm going to watch the kid from Kentucky too. Might get around to him tomorrow. I forget what his name, Pascal or something like that.
You say Pascal, I think Zach Pascal, but isn't he a receiver from the Colts or something?
No. I feel like Daniel Jeremiah threw out a tweet the other day where he was comparing some of the top edge rushers, and he compared some edge rusher from Kentucky. I feel like his name's Pascal, to Boogie Basham, who the Bills drafted last year. So I'm gonna take a look at him.
Appreciate
Josh
the super
Pascal.
chat. The only thing with like I heard of him as more of like a 2nd round pick. So if you're gonna double up on DN, like I would be okay with him at 69 maybe, but would I sign up for that now? Probably not, to be completely honest. Jan super chat. Appreciate you as always. Have a great show, boys. I'll listen on replay. Thank you a lot.
Thanks, Jan. Appreciate it.
$20 is fantastic. Zach Thomas is 5'11", by the way. I don't know if that's actually that seems true, right? I would think.
Yeah, Zach Thomas is definitely short. Okay,
Vilma was short. Are they both bad players or?
Oh no, they're good players. Although Zach Thomas is definitely overrated. It's dude, one of my guilty pleasures every year. Hall of Fame. Zach Thomas never gets in, and Dolphins fans go crazy. It is a thing to see.
Linebackers won't or shouldn't start coming off the board until 26. Jets fan United, I would wager a bet that the one comes off before 26. I'm not like being. I
think Lloyd's going to probably come off before.
Over under, I would take the under on that.
Do you agree with that Lloyd will go off before Dean?
Yeah, I do. Papa Bear knows best. I got to fly through these. I'm going to skip a couple. How do you guys feel about a trade back from 4 to the Saints second to who was there? That's the first. I
feel like the Saints would have to give us just more than 16 and 19.
Yeah, because that's about equal value, but you have to make it worth our while to trade back. You know, so who was there at 4? At 10, what edge is there? What if one of them that you don't like?
Think, like there's only so much blue chip players in a draft, and you have to think at like 4, you're going to be able to get one of the guys who you think is a quote unquote blue chip guy. When you move all the way back to 16 and 19, there's a lot of uncertainty as to who's going to be there.
Yeah.
So I think that they would need to give up, more than just 16 and 19.
Yeah, like if you're going to tell me like, okay, if I can go like we're thinking it realistic, okay, 10 is Karlaftis, 16 the best receiver. Let's say it's London, and 19 is Lloyd over Dean. I get people who like Lloyd over Dean. I personally don't, but I get it. I'm not going to argue with that just because of his physical upside. But yeah, who was there at 4? That's a large way to go down. Now if it goes Thibodeau, if it goes Thibodeau, Sauce, Hutchinson, top 3, okay, I could talk about trading down. But if it's Thibodeau or Sauce sitting there at 4, I don't know if I'm going to do that just because we need that that blue chip type talent. And no Marcus Hamilton makes sense at 10. Again, if you trade for Deebo, I think it's a conversation. I wouldn't do it, but moving on. What time is it right now?
7:16. Yeah, I still see. I saw somebody put out their big board the other day, and they had Hamilton as like the number 1 or number 2 player in the draft, and I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I would really want to question that person. Like, why?
What's up, Joe? What's up, Sneakers to Boots? A little bit late, but I'll accept it. There are only 2 Joes that I trust. Last name Blewett and Douglas. All right. Thank you. I'll take me the first Joe in there too. Not even the second Joe. I don't trust any Kyles.
That's a lie because you've said I trust you on here. Quote. That's a full-on quote. How much would your salary have to be a year for you to take a job working with Joe Douglas and the Jets front office?
Dude, that is such a loaded question. One, because
I know. You want to ask me all these questions and put me on the spot.
So one, it's never going to happen. And
okay,
two,
yeah, we know that, but we're playing in fantasy land.
It would have to be a lot of money, like a lot of money, because of the salary I make that I do now, and I'm not even topped out, plus the pension, which is a lot of money per year with medical benefits and all that stuff for the rest of my life until the day I die. It would have to be a lot of money. Not just,
so you wouldn't do it for $100K.
No, dude, that's not even a year of pay for a full-time officer.
I know, but Joe, you have the potential to move up in the ranks.
I also have the potential to get fired after 2 years and never make it back.
True, but no. Okay, so how many of these guys, you think when Robert Saleh left the corporate finance world, whatever he was in, and became a football coach, there wasn't a huge risk?
I'm sure the risk was not as big. Let's just say that. Unless he was making some decent money as whatever he was doing.
He probably was making a ton of money, man.
Okay, sure.
And I think he had a family at the time, too.
Did that job include a pension?
I don't know that.
Probably not, because the pension is a kicker, because that thing is amazing. I'm going to be retired at like 50 years old, making, the money I'm making until I'm 70, 75. I'll probably die at like 60. I stress out too much, but that's million. I wouldn't do it for $5 million.
You're not going to die at 60. Shut up.
You never know. Let's see. Mafe can't play against the run. We don't need Deebo.
Mafe's not great against the run. I agree with that.
Kyle,
based on the 3 games I watched, I wasn't impressed versus the run.
I completely agree that Denzel Mims is Deebo Samuel. What do you think?
That's a joke, right? Yeah.
No, I really
of course that's a joke. Yeah.
I think the same exact thing.
I'll tell you what, Denzel Mims preseason against the Giants, he looked a little bit like Deebo.
Yeah, but then he turned that into like an 8-catch second year. So it just didn't correlate. I don't know why.
8 catch with about 8 drops.
Yeah,
that's a little bit hyperbole, but
yeah, it was not good. So no, he is not Deebo. Better call Saul. Wait, Curry's back. I thought he had a disease that prevented him from playing. Yeah, something was going on, but apparently he's cleared and now he's back. I don't know what the price is, but nice to have him. He's a legit pass rusher. Again, sorry guys from skipping your stuff. It's just I'm so far behind and I want to put some pressure on Kyle here.
Did you get to the other $20 super chat?
Yeah, no, not yet, but just give me a second because I forgot the net team's on right now. That is bad. That is bad. Boy. I'm 20 minutes behind. I have no idea what the score is. Son of a bitch. I'm just trying to find. Okay. Spooner.
Denzel Mims is on a cycle of Trent and HGH, and he's 235 pounds and ripped. Is he really 235? No way.
The picture I looked, he's not 235, dude. Let's just hit this quick. What would you rather take, Nakobe Dean or Linderbaum at 19?
Dean.
I think that's a pretty easy answer, to be honest.
I say Dean like two. Part of it for me, and I know that especially in the first round, it's not drafting based on need. It's BPA and stuff. But Dean, you watch his film, I do think he's probably a better player. Although Linderbaum is, much more. He's not as scheme diverse. Yeah, Linderbaum works good in our system. But one thing for me too is like I just don't think that Connor McGovern is the big. A lot of people hate on him, and he's not a bad player.
I think he's average. Which is
not a bad player.
Shadow has your top 20 draft rankings for the Jets changed since last week. No. Jin Polk, Karlaftis has overcome a lot of hardships and something to prove. New player to football, 20 years old. Is an underrated athlete for sure. So
I'm curious to learn about it because I know he's from Greece, but I don't really know about much of his family background and upbringing and stuff. I'm curious to learn more.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone knows of any good interviews or anything like that, let me know. Yeah,
Gavin. I think this is the Gavin that I thought was going to jump me on the train. I told you about that, right, Kyle?
Maybe.
It was like me and Vinny, and we were drinking, went to a Devils Rangers game,
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sitting
you
on the
told me.
tracks, like there's like 6 dudes, and one of them kept looking like, yo, I think they want to fight. I don't know why, but and he's like, Jets X Factor, bro. I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, I thought we were gonna fight. I was like, all right. So that was cool. So what's up, Gavin? If that is you. Mafe overrated. Jay agrees with you that he can't play on running downs.
Yeah, Raw is a pass rusher too. Like I see that he's kind of a big dude and he's got the explosiveness and stuff, but it based on the 3 games I watched, and it was against good competition. I watched the Ohio State game, the Iowa game, and one others, and I didn't really see anything like that. Like I didn't see him hit any spin moves. I didn't really see him hit any I didn't really see a tremendous amount of bend. I will say that he had some nice inside moves, right? Like when he chooses to go inside, he gets there quick. But his cross chop's not that good. So I don't know. I'm not really interested early second round, to be honest.
Frigolise says I'm not down thinking a cornerback that high. I guess he's talking about Stingley at 10. Sauce at 4 is a different conversation. We went over our mindset on that a lot of times. It's just if he's your second best player in the draft, you're not gonna skip one of the best players in draft for need. Like the difference between let's say okay, it is even if Walker's there, like if it goes Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and then even if we're at 3, the difference between Sauce Gardner and Walker and Karlaftis and those guys so the difference between Sauce Gardner and those guys is such a big difference that I'm not just reaching for DN there. I can't do it. I can't. So Icky over Sauce. So Frigo Day. So you draft Icky. Where is he playing year 1? Like people talk about drafting Icky and stuff. Oh, well, if they don't work out. Okay, so what if they do work out? What if Becton works out? What if Fant works out? They sign him. And then you have Tomlinson, you have AVT. Like, where is he going to play?
I saw Albert Breer, NFL Insider, like he put out some notes thing a couple hours ago, and he was saying that the Jets are still uncertain about Becton's future, short term and long term, and it seemed like a bunch of just speculation and stuff. Like, oh well, maybe they can flip Becton for a second round pick, or maybe if Becton does work out, and like he was saying a bunch of dumbass stuff, like maybe you move AVT to right tackle. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to end this poll, Kyle. We got 92 votes, and it was 61% Dean, 39% Stingley. So not that big of a difference, but maybe we'll throw in 5% for people being a little bit biased. But you still lost, so
it's not over yet.
I just ended it, so it is.
Oh, well, that's not very fair.
It was going on for like 30 minutes. I don't want to keep it up there forever.
Well, what's the problem if it's up there? It's not harming anybody.
I don't know if it screws up how the chat looks. I honestly don't. So I just try to.
It just seems like you wanted to end it while it was still in your favor.
That's it. Let's see. Yeah, but again, like
that's like me. That's like me when we were beating you in those foosball games. Like, oh, we're not going to give you a chance to come back. We're just, we're up 2-0. Yeah, man, you can't play another game.
You were beat. Oh yeah. Did you smack us or no? I forget.
We definitely beat you by at least 2 games.
Yeah. What is my allowed like cushion because I was hammered that night? Like, do you think my hand-eye coordination would be better if I wasn't how many shots deep with Sabo and whoever else?
Yes, it would be better.
Yeah, I would think so. So we can have a rematch sober. That'd be I think it'd be a little bit different, but you never know. I'll at least give myself a game being sober because that got interesting. I'll throw this to you, Kyle. I'm catching up back to the chat. I'm flying through it. D Jones, if London is on the board at 10, but we choose Jamison instead, what would be the reaction? Your reaction. I'm not trying the because the question to us, but
I'd be disappointed because I think London's the better player from what I've seen. Like I know that, and there's a ton of we have a ton of Jamison games available. I probably have like 7 or 8 that I could watch, and I probably watched about 4. But London's a more complete receiver, in my opinion. Jamison, I still have question marks with him. Like, what do you feel that? Question for you: what do you feel that Jamison does at a very good level? Like, I know he's fast.
Yeah,
okay? I know he's fast, but like, is he great with the ball in his hands? Is he a great route runner? Is he great at the catch point? Does he have great hands? Like,
body catcher, from what I've seen. You know,
So
I
why are we
think
talking about him like he's the best receiver?
it's a lot about having elite speed, elite acceleration, and the ability to gear down and re-accelerate, stuff like that. But again, that's why I've said, like, I think it's a conversation between him and London. I don't think he's some slam dunk type guy. So okay, sorry,
I think about London too. Like London, he can last in the league longer than Jamison. You know, injuries aside, right? Because when Jamison loses his speed, is he going to be the same player, right? Versus, London, he's already so refined that, like, even if he does lose a little bit of speed, he's still going to be like a really good player for longer. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
somebody, Mike Singletary was short. Yeah, there's a bunch. Is Eric? I think Eric Hendricks.
We got a couple more super chats. Why don't you prioritize them? Just because we're short on time.
Ish, not really. We'll be fine.
TK, you're the one who say you got to watch your Nets game.
Well, I'm watching it right now. Bruce Brown has hit a 3, so that's nice. They're up. KD had another turnover. I'm not sure. He had so many freaking turnovers last game. But moving on. TKO Steve, always appreciate the super. He always just like pops in randomly. Boom.
Thanks, Steve.
This is what he does. Do either of you see Kraft and Belichick trying to get in on the Deebo situation and try to keep him away from the Jets? Love the show. TKO Steve, I know you love the show because you always say that and you always throw out super chats, which we appreciate more than you know. And I think it's always going to drive up, like if they were interested in him in general, I think it'd always drive up the value at least a little bit to keep him away from a division rival. But are the Patriots in position, both cap and draft flexibility wise, to outbid the Jets? I feel like no.
What's the highest the Patriots have ever traded for a player? I'm trying to think. Like they're usually the ones to always deal a player away. Like they traded Chandler Jones away at the peak of his career for a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I can't.
Right, like they'll like let guys like Lawyer Malloy go and stuff. Right, when he's
did they trade or sign Gilmore from the Bills?
They signed him.
They signed him.
He was a free agent. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't see the Patriots making that trade.
Now, like I said, if they were interested in it, I could see maybe raising a little bit of the stakes because of trying to keep him out of the division. But in general, I don't think they're going to be involved anyway.
They barely even trade up in drafts. Like
I've seen the Saints, the Colts, the Packers, the Chiefs, some other random ass. Oh, the Eagles. So I don't know. And again, thank you, Steve. Blake asks, so many people seem so high on JJ. Do you see anything from what he's currently lacking that might be easier to coach? Trying to mentally prepare myself in case I do take him at 4 or even 10. Kyle, I'll throw it to you.
I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. Like he's definitely got like explosiveness and stuff. I mean, like look at his testing numbers and stuff, and he is big and he is long. Like there is potential there, but he's really raw. Like it's very frustrating to watch him. Everything is like, oh, instead of just like, let me just, run through this guy or try to run around this guy. Everything is like, get out of my stance. And then I'm going to chop my feet and lose all my momentum.
Mm-hmm.
He loses all his momentum every time.
And that's why like there's so many people out there who are like, oh, he's so technically refined. I'm like, I am sorry. Like with that topic, you do not know what you're watching. That it just is what it is. Like there is no if, ands, or buts. Oh, we have different opinions on this player. If you think he's so technically refined, you have no fucking idea. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. It's just, I can't hold back with that. Like I see it all the time about how good he is. And the same thing like Garrett was like, oh, he's technically the best route runner. Technically, he is not even close to the best route runner. He has the ability to be the best route runner, but like, sorry, some of that shit just drives you crazy. Like, oh, he's so technically refined. How? So if he had the explosion, he has decent bend, he has good length, he's good at playing the run, he's so technically refined, wouldn't he have been a top 10 guy the entire time? Or did he shoot the draft boards because he interviewed well and did well at the Senior Bowl? Like his film did not match what people are saying about him right now. I do not want him at 4 or 10. I'll be very disappointed. It just is what it is.
Yeah, the way I had him, like, I had him in a tier below all those other top edge rushers.
Yep, me too. Yep. Again, I didn't see anybody talking about him like they are talking about him now at 4 or 10 before the Senior Bowl. Just crazy. But he's not technically refined. He has a long way to go in that sense. Mm-hmm. So
as for realistic options that they could take with the first 2 picks, that one would probably get me the most disappointed, truthfully.
Yeah. Like him at 10, Now, what would be more disappointing to you? Let's just say we don't know what happened at 4. Him, like, because these are rumored guys. Him, Jamison Williams, Garrett Wilson at 10. Like, is there any like
Him.
really okay?
Yeah. I watch Wilson and I'm like, okay, man, like, I posed this question to you 2 weeks ago. Like the whole thing with Garrett Wilson, he is so, like, you want to talk about explosive and like sudden movements, the way he can move his body. It's so like paramount to the way he runs routes. Like everything is just, let me sell like I'm breaking this way and then I'm actually going to break this way. Like he does it all the time. And that's always why he's got those long strides, and it always takes him an extra couple steps to gear down in his breaks. And it makes me wonder, like, if he is always selling his routes like this and his breaks like this, how correctable can it actually be? Like, just because it's so, like he loves doing it so much. But there is, if he could figure that out and still keep that kind of like explosiveness in his breaks, then like you could potentially be talking about something special. Like if he could be a little bit better with, getting his hands and chopping down the corner's hands before the corner can get his hands on him, like there's a lot of potential there. And I know JJ has a potential too, but Wilson's younger. I just see him as being a safer player than JJ. So
yeah. If Mims bursts onto the scene, he, sneakers and boots basically just saying we have a really legit offense. I'm not against Mims, but to lie to ourselves and say 8 catches, him with the pre-snap penalties, all the other stuff. Like, again, I get him having food poisoning and him not being able to learn the playbook and also puts him behind. But at a certain point, we have to look at the facts. He had 8 catches and was getting guys like Vincent Smith and Tyreek Black and Jeff Smith were seeing reps over him. Like, I'm rooting for him because I loved him in college. I loved the draft pick, but at a certain point, we have to hold him accountable. And his season was a joke last year, regardless of how you want to frame it. It was a joke. Yeah. It was absolutely terrible. So I get that we want to be biased and say, oh, it was because of this and this and this and that. But then, he doesn't work out. And then we're like, oh, shit, we should have made excuses for him. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about with Mims is excuses. And again, that whole catch versus the Panthers, it was a blown fucking coverage. Like, it's not like he did anything great. Like, it just he fucked up. He came in, couldn't get lined up. It wasn't running the right routes. Wasn't trying in practice, apparently, based on a lot of people's reports. Like, he had 8 catches. I hope he does well. I hope he bursts onto the scene. It'd be freaking fantastic. I would be happier than a pig and shit, But would I bet on it right now? Kyle, like, what are the chances Mims works out, even just like a solid role player for the Jets? Like, you got to really put your money on it.
I would say less than 20%.
Same. Yeah, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's just I think we're thinking more with our hearts on our head with that. So Jake, thank you for the super chat. My dream is trade down at 4 to 16-19. Take Carl Loftus, JJ Edge at 10, best receiver at 10, Dean Lloyd at 19. Yeah, I think I answered this question for you before, Jake, but you threw it out there again. Maybe somebody else with a really similar question. And Sneakers the Boots, I think, put something in there before about like the positions in terms of D-end, receiver, linebacker, and safety as the top 4 picks in the top with the top 4 picks the Jets have. The only thing I can see being different there is if they draft Sauce at 10, but other than that, or at 4. So other than that, I agree. But yeah, again, Kyle, I think if we could sign the dotted line for this right now, like let's say, okay, you get Carl Loftus 10, London 16, Dean at 19, safety or corner at 35. Would you take that? I'm not necessarily sure about a running back at 38, but
yeah, I wouldn't want a safety at 35.
I'm cool with a safety at 35.
Who?
It obviously depends on how the board falls. People like Hills and Lewis Cine and Brisker and Petrie.
I only watched one game of Cine where I kind of really studied him, and I didn't see too much in the pass coverage because basically they were throwing nothing downfield. But man, I saw him. He was all the way. Like, he was really deep one play, and they threw like I can't remember what kind of route it was, to the sideline, and he flew down in a heartbeat and made a tackle. Like, he can move, man. He can move coming downhill. I could see why some people said kind of like, Jordan Whitehead, where he can kind of, fit the run or whatever. I don't know. I didn't watch enough to have a strong opinion of that guy, but he's definitely athletic. I'll give you that, but I don't think it makes sense to take him at 35. I don't think so.
The only thing I would change about this, Jake, would probably be like maybe running back round 3. like I would probably want well, no, I'm okay with an O line in round 3 too. So I'm like backup tackle. They need a D tackle. Running back might be a little bit early for me there though.
Yeah, what running backs are worth that pick? None of the guys you sent me are worth that pick. That's for damn sure.
People talk about Spiller, Kenneth Walker.
I watched him. I think 35 is early for Spiller. One game. I only watched one game, but I don't think he's worth that pick.
Mega Vegan. I don't think Fant's going to get $30 million or $20 million a year. 1 and 2. Fant's 30 versus other 30s is very different. Moving on. What's up, Curly Norman?
Fant for 30. Wait,
$20 million. He's saying $20 million a year. He's not going to get $20 million a year, but.
Well, I mean, like, dude, if he had an insane season this year, which is
again relative to your realistic expectations, you have an insane season, get $20 million a year. It's
dude, like even like in
league.
Terms of like PFF grades or whatever. Why am I forgetting his name? Tackle for the Eagles. Longtime tackle for the Eagles. Before that, he was with the Bills.
Peters?
Why am I forgetting his name? Peters. Peters had some great seasons earlier in his career, and you never saw him getting big contracts and stuff. And I think a lot of that was just because age, right? So, like, Fant is kind of this guy who, a late bloomer, so to speak, in his 30s. I don't think they're not gonna give him.
Mike, I'm not sure this is in reference to drafting Ekwonu, but I'm not drafting Ekwonu to be a very good depth player. Like I don't know if that's what it's in relation
at 4.
to.
Yeah, there's no way you're getting Ekwonu at 10. No way.
Like
you can maybe get him at 4, maybe.
Again,
and you're not drafting a player at 4 to be a backup.
And even if we'll have him for next year, okay. But what if Becton works out, and what if Fant works out? Like, do we need to force that? Like, I'm not doing it. And I love Ekwonu. So
I think so many people are it's way too early. By the way, people are still voting on the poll. You opened it back up?
I didn't open it.
I'm telling you, people are still voting on it.
How?
Dude, it's that 114 votes now.
I thought I closed it. Whatever.
But anyway,
am I still winning?
Yeah, people are way too quick to give up on Becton, man. Like, dude, we saw some really nice things from him his rookie year, and like, you just want to throw it away just because, like, he was. Let's be honest, he was a little bit of a bitch on social media, and apparently, he's got weight problems. Dude, look at his parents, man. Like, a lot of like, it's his blessing and it's his curse at the same time. Like, he's got insane genes to the point where he can be that big, but at the same time, it's a struggle for him, right? Like, I don't know. I'm like, the whole, like, the very fact that he's working on his diet and stuff, and he looked shredded as hell before this season. I mean, like, we're just way too quick to give up on a guy who, as the intro to this show says, if he gets good technique and he really works on his stuff, he could be a Hall of Famer. Like, you just want to throw that away just because he had a freak injury and was a bitch on social media and didn't come back all year for 1 year. Like, oh yeah, let's just a second round pick. Let's just give him away after 1 year. Come on.
We have Lou Chandler, who's not a big London guy, and was saying, him over London or over Jamison Williams. Are you serious? And he's saying he's not going to be a Jet. So we have a London hater.
Well, why is that such a bad thing? Like, tell me why London is worse than those guys.
Yeah. Rob D saying the Pats did trade a first for Cooks, right? So that's an example, Kyle. An example.
Was it a first or a second?
We're gonna do Kyle's DN's rankings in a second. No, I'm pretty sure it was the first actually when they traded for him.
You might be right. That's a good example.
A late first. So good on Rob D, and I think somebody else said it too.
Good point.
Yeah. Let's see.
Did Cooks do 1 or 2 years with the Patriots?
2?
I think it was 2.
2. Joe, do you really think Walker is a better bet than Karlaftis? I am so torn on Walker or Karlaftis just because of Karlaftis's floor to me. Or, yeah, like floor versus ceiling, and then Walker's floor versus ceiling. They're polar opposites to me. So if I had to pick between one of those at 4, it's really, I don't know. Like, Kyle,
I got a question for you, Joe. How much, when they have players in for pre-draft visits, I know they get to do, like, whiteboard stuff and stuff with them and things like that, classroom type of stuff. But do they get to actually work them out? No, right? Not like these high-end type of guys.
Are you talking about from the draft? You're talking about
I'm talking about the draft. I'm talking about the draft. I'm not talking about like someone like
and work. I thought they were able to work him out. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering because like someone like him, I'd almost want to throw him through drills. I'm talking about Walker. because there's so much uncertainties there with him. Like, you just wanted to see so much more on film, but like the talent is there, no doubt, but he's like really raw. And I don't know. For me, I don't know if I would want to take that risk. But
Hawks,
dude, if he can get his shit together, man, like cool.
And again, people said that he was not that impressive on tape, and he only rose because of it. And Kyle, you watched the review. I said I think he's an option at 10 for the Jets before the combine. So the fact that he blew it up, it's not surprising.
By the way, one of the frustrating things about his tape, and you pointed this out in your review, is for some reason, even though he's got those long ass arms, he does not wrap up a quarterback that well.
Oh, dude, so many people.
Quarterbacks are always slipping out of him. That's very frustrating.
From Hawk, could the Jets use McBride in a Deebo style? He seems like that. No, there's a very large difference between the athleticism of McBride. I don't know. I got to address it like it's not, but no, absolutely not. 63 to 37. Joe and Dean are winning. I didn't know the vote was still up. I'm sorry, I got to close it out.
Rusty likes that.
Rusty's a Dean guy. He's always been a Dean guy. Okay, so Kyle, I'm not gonna do it too short, but I want to pull up some of your stuff. We'll hit the chat in a little bit if we have to. Oh shit, I just got out of YouTube. I gotta close out that poll. But talk about your DNs. Give me your DN rankings out of the guys you watched.
Yeah, so I guess I'll do and I am getting more Thibodeau. I actually had the least tape of him out of all those people, so I'm gonna rewatch him. But so this is what I texted you the other day. So I only got 5 right now, and I watched more than 5, but I would say only 5 that I have like a pretty strong opinion on at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I had Hutch. He's like tier 1 for me. All right. And then I put the next 3 guys in like the second tier. Well, but they're like a tier below. Karl Loftus 2, Thibodeau 3, and then Walker. And then I had Johnson in a tier below those guys. Mm-hmm. So that's how it ended up turning out for me. And I know that Karl Loftus doesn't have the upside of a Walker. You could even argue that Johnson might have a higher upside than him. I don't know. I tend to like guys with like higher floors and stuff. And the Karl Loftus, ceiling. This is something we've talked about too. Dude's barely been playing football, and he is a pretty good athlete too. You want to talk about jumps and things like that? Like
I saw somebody
Thibodeau didn't do his jumps, right? Right?
No, I don't think so. I saw somebody bring up that Garrett Wilson is like a 37 or 36 inch vertical. I'm like, you guys know that you guys are talking about that being good, and Karl Loftus jumped 38 inches, right? Like he just doesn't have the best bend in the world or the best like large scale change direction, gear down, flip his hips, that type of stuff, like adjusting to a running back in the open field. But he's still fun of an athlete. Me, it's Hutchinson easily 1. And then 2, it's 2, 3, 4, like in our grouping of themselves. I'd say it's Thibodeau 2, and then it's really like Walker 3A, Karl Loftus 3B because of the ceiling, and then JJ comfortably 5 for me. But that's just my opinion right now. So we have somebody said, I don't know. Somebody said something that so like I get it, Lou. You rather have the elite speed explosive guys, but the Raiders drafted an elite speed explosive guy with Darius Hayward-Bay, didn't work out. Kevin White, size, speed, didn't work out. Ross didn't work out. Like, we can't just draft guys because they run faster than another guy. Like, there's so
Henry
much
Ruggs,
more to it.
Another Raiders guy.
Well, yeah,
not all that was on the field stuff, but
I'd have to write a novel.
He wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire too, even though when he was playing.
So I get that, Mike, but it's elite level Zach Wilson insurance. But to me, it's not justifiable when you can get a free agent or a guy in the second, third, fourth round. Like, even second's high for me, but I'd rather draft a guy at 35 or 38 than a Quano at 4 to potentially sit on the bench for making millions and millions of dollars a year, 4th overall, instead of getting Sauce Gardner there. Like, that's absolutely crazy to me. I could never do. I'd be furious.
By the way, can we just say this too? So many people are like, a decent amount of people are like not loving Sauce at 4, and they keep saying, like, I've seen a lot of people say this, like, well, if it's a tie and they have like very similar draft rankings, they're going to go with the D end instead of the corner. And I do get the edge is important, but they say, well, Salah's scheme doesn't really. Okay. I get that edge rushers, DNs, whatever you want to call them, are more valuable, and obviously contracts reflect that. but don't tell me that corner isn't valuable in this scheme, right? And one thing that I think Salah showed you is
I think
that
it's stupid, to be honest.
one thing that Salah showed you is like he switched his scheme up a lot. He was running a lot of cover one earlier in the season, right?
Mhm.
Like I think he's going to do what works. And I think it was you who said this the other day. Actually, you know what? I was listening to you on Scott Mason's podcast, and you were saying something along the lines of like, if you were in constant cover two, where your corner is only playing curl flat, then okay, then I can see you saying the corner doesn't have that much emphasis. But you know, if you draft a Sauce Gardner, he's not going to be playing curl flat all the time.
Yeah, tell me in what scheme does a corner not matter? Like I don't. It's just stupid to me. But somebody brings up in the chat that, and I hate this, to be completely honest. So I'm gonna hit on it. Which one, Sluggo, appreciate it. How do you know the Kobe Dean isn't just another Darren Lee? How do we know that any player isn't how do we know freaking Thibodeau isn't Vernon Golston? How do we know that a receiver is not Devin Smith? How do we know that the next quarterback's not Geno Smith? What are we talking about?
I think if you look at, so Darren Lee was on a stacked defense, first of all. And I think a lot of Darren Lee's, okay. I can see where he's coming from because Georgia was also a stacked defense, obviously. So Nakobe Dean could run free a lot of times and just make plays, but you watch him versus watching Darren Lee, and Dean is so much more instinctual. You know, he's pointing people to get in the right spots. Just take coverage, for example, right? Darren Lee never knew where to sit in a zone. So in terms of the football smarts,
it's not,
you watch the tape, there is no comparison between the two.
Comparison.
Yeah.
Hawk is, I guess, going back to the McBride versus Deebo thing. I get the scores here, Hawk, but they're polar. So why isn't Jalen Waddle or any comparable size guy? Like, why wasn't Quincy Enunwa Deebo? Like, why isn't Mims Deebo? It's just Deebo is Deebo. You can't size and 40 times doesn't necessarily matter in terms of like contact balance and aggressiveness and all this stuff. McBride is not as good as Yak guy as Deebo. Deebo's like 1-for-1 in the league. It's just I don't know about that. Okay, so yeah, I don't know.
I think Hawks just being a troll, and
Hawks are not a troll, but yeah, that's a little crazy just because of their size. So Kyle, I want to get to 3 more topics. I'll hit the chat as best I can, but we got to get through it a little bit. Running backs, you watched some running backs as well, so tell us your 5 running backs, kind of your ranking.
I only watched, so I watched about 1 game on all those guys you sent me, except for Cook, who I watched 2 games of, and I watched all of them, and I'm like, there's nothing that really makes me want to draft any of these guys in the 2nd round. I mean, maybe if we're talking about the 3rd round, maybe, but I wasn't too impressed with any of them, to be honest. I mean, like,
a lot of the guys I said you were like 3rd, 4th round guys.
Yeah. So what's the kid, Robinson Jr.? That's the Alabama kid.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's kind of big, kind of thick legs. Like he can run through arm tackles. Like you're not gonna really bring him down with an arm tackle, but he doesn't pull away from people. He doesn't make really sudden cuts or anything like that. So I don't know. I wasn't too interested in him. The Pierce guy. What's interesting about him is I almost felt like he wasn't even the top running back.
He was like underutilized, people say. So
yeah, they played the number 20 kid more than him. He had a nice touchdown run against Alabama. It was kind of like a cutback type of run, but I don't know. I wasn't too blown away with him. Spiller, he's probably not going to be a 3rd round guy. You're saying he's probably going to be a 2nd round guy, right?
I think 69 would probably be like the absolute floor for him.
Well, we didn't think Michael Carter would go in the 4th round. Spiller, he's not super fast. I wouldn't say that he's got any type of extreme wiggle to him or anything like that.
He looks really high-waisted when I was watching Kenyon Green.
Okay. He has this weird stance too. Like he keeps his feet so close together in his stance before he gets the ball. But I did see some pretty good vision from him in the 1 game I watched. Let's see. What's another guy's name?
You're missing White. I think White is in there.
Who's White?
Was that Arizona State?
Some of these guys I couldn't get any tape on. Rashad White, is that who's he?
I think it's Arizona State, right?
I couldn't get any tape on him. Did you?
Dude, I sent you these guys thinking you're gonna watch them. I'm not.
I
watching
tried
these
to
things.
listen. I'll say this. I put in some requests for some film, so I'm trying to get some more stuff as we speak, so that when we come to our streams next week, I have a little bit more knowledge on some of these guys.
Rusty, in the chat, I'm gonna help you out. I think you're talking about Dorial Green Beckham, not Odell Green Beckham. I think you're talking about Dorial Green.
Yeah, Dorial Green Beckham and Odell Beckham, very very different.
Yeah,
I also watched the Cincinnati running back. Wasn't too impressed with him either. Honestly, I forget his name. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say all things being equal at 69, they're gonna take one of them. What are your rankings of those 5 guys?
Spiller would probably be the top out of those guys. Maybe Pierce too. And then maybe Robinson from Alabama.
Okay. And
Again, it's only, but I forgot about Cook too. Cook might be too. He might be, but again, you want to talk about like so he had one huge run. I think it was in the national championship game against Alabama. And it wasn't like he did anything super impressive on the play either.
Mhm.
Just kind of like a broken play. People say like he's a clone of his brother. I think his brother's way more shifty than he is, way more. So he might have more top end speed. At least that's what his 40 said. I don't know.
Just because they have the same.
I'll just be honest though, like watching Michael Carter's film last year, his coach's film right after we drafted him, he looked better than all these guys. Definitely.
Okay. So the next question I want to ask you 2 more things. I'll have to chat a little bit more, but then give me did you do a big board? Could you do it off the top of your head?
I'll have you one next week. But if you want to just like ask me off the top of my head, like where would you rank these guys? Go ahead. I'll do it.
Go like 5 or 6 deep in terms of like order you'd like to draft guys for the Jets. Cause like are all 5, 6, 7 of those guys going to be gone by 10? Probably not, because you have quarterbacks in there, you have Neal, you have a Kwanu. So
5, 6 deep
in order. Yeah.
Okay. So 1 is definitely Hutch.
Okay.
Not a huge gap, but 2 would be Sauce Gardner. And then I would say there's a pretty big gap after that. Yeah, pretty big gap. I guess it's not realistic, but I would have, like I said, I had Carl Loftus ahead of Thibodeau. That's just me. I'd have him at 3. I guess we're just talking realistic options for the Jets. Even though I like Aquanu, I don't think it's going to happen, nor should it happen based on need. Then 4 Thibodeau, 5 Walker, and then 6. I might say Stingley, man, even though you don't agree with me with that.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Joe, I wasn't confused. It was Maryland Green Beckham was just like London is now.
No. There's no. Dorial Green Beckham was 6'5", big as hell. Like he was extremely raw.
I think he's comparing him to London just in terms of size, but
that's not even a great. Like London is like he's not even 6'4".
He's not arguing with us. He's talking to the guy who's comparing Lee to Dean. I don't think he's comparing those guys together. I think it's more. That's not a comparison he's actually making. I'm just trying to think. It wasn't Dorial Green Beckham. Like wasn't that Missouri? He was from Missouri, right?
He was Missouri. Mm-hmm.
But the other Beckham was the guy who was like just like a walk on, right? Like, and he tried to.
Correct. Yeah. Odell's cousin was a running. It was he was trying to walk onto the team as a running back, and he's like some like workout warrior dude who has like a big Instagram where he posts like workout videos.
Yeah. Okay. So Kyle, this is what we're gonna do. A couple minutes left. I'm going to put you through and this is because Kyle doesn't do mock drafts, and this is the only thing. This is going to be completely him. He's going to have 1 minute to do each pick. So this is going to be an under 10-minute mock draft. You're going to be forced to make a pick at 1 minute. If it's over, I'm just going to make a pick for you. So at 1 minute, you have to make a pick. I'm going to put a timer on.
And I'm not allowed to trade out of these picks.
Not allowed to trade. You're doing a straight mock draft with a couple minutes. We have 8 days before the draft. So I want to see what you're going to do on a speed round mock draft. It's only going to take, again, under 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Can Hutch bull rush his way through NFL tackles? That's a big question. Why couldn't he?
Oh yeah, he can.
I think he can.
Hutch is very good at timing the snap, so his snap timing's really good. So there's a very good chance that he's going to get to you before you get to your set point. So yeah, he can get through you for sure. He's very strong.
Okay, Kyle. So again, You have a minute for each pick. I'm going to start a timer on my phone for each one, and don't go over the minute because I will pick your pick for you. And you don't want to do
make
that.
this full screen.
And then we're going to talk about your draft a little bit after, and then we're going to jump off again. I'm sorry for making it only 2 hours. This one, but it is what it is. Sometimes people complain like, dude, 3 hours is too long. I'm like, okay, so just watch for 2. I'm not making you watch 3. I'm sorry. So I think this is right. I used PFF last time. I think PFN's a little bit unrealistic with their rankings. When I did this last week, I think that PFF has a little bit better, more realistic scenarios. So, okay, Kyle.
Joe's a PFF guy now.
No, yeah. All right. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start the clock, okay? And then tell me how to manipulate the screen if you need me to do it. I can't see anything. I just see the screen. Starting now. Okay, so we have who went? We have Hutchinson, Stingley, Thibodeau, which is crazy for Stingley going, but you have Gardner on the board. You have Icky, Neal, Hamilton, Williams, Karlaftis. I'm assuming
Gardner.
Boom.
That's easy.
Stop the clock. Reset. Start the clock again. Now
Karlaftis.
Bang.
Easy.
5-second pick. Reset. Okay, so Karlaftis and Sauce. Speed mock draft. Now I'm just going to scroll down the big board.
So this is 35, right?
35, Travis Jones, Pickens, Petrie, Leo Chanel, Brisker, Drake Jackson, Josh Pascal, the guy you were talking about before, Quay Walker, Burks, Ojaba, Tolbert, Dotson, McCreary, Gordon.
Okay, go scroll up to the top one more time real quick because I don't got that much time. Let's see. Pickens, I'm intrigued by him. I'm intrigued by Pickens, but I didn't see enough of him to really feel confident.
You have 20 seconds.
Give me Dotson. The Jahan, what's his first name, right?
Dotson. Again, you don't have to go by these rankings are their rankings. Your rankings can be completely different, So stop, reset. Okay. So now you have Dotson starting the clock again. Same group of players for the most part. The only guys who went were Pickens. So you have Petrie, you have Travis Jones, Leo Chanel.
Have you watched any of this Petrie guy?
Dude, this is up to you. No, I know he's a cover safety guy who can also play slots. So he's really versatile. He was a 3rd round guy. I've seen him shooting up the boards to the 2nd round now. So Brisker,
I'm just wondering if I should look into him.
There's a week left. Look into people we.
Hey, look, your boy's still there.
Burks. Yeah, there's a reason he's still there.
Yeah, I'm not taking him.
You have 35 seconds.
Shit.
And I want people to.
By the way, I tried to get Kenneth Walker tape and I couldn't.
17 seconds.
I need to get some of that. Go up. Down a little bit more. Down.
8, 7.
Shit. Give me go up. Give me give me the Chanel.
Okay. You're over by a second, but it's fine as long as we're rushing you. I wonder what the chat's gonna say in terms of this draft. People are harsh critics. Okay, starting the clock again. Minute.
Okay.
You have needs at probably linebacker. Or linebacker is
no, I
your
just
biggest
drafted
need.
a linebacker.
Oh, sorry. Safety.
Carson Strong. Good. Go down.
Okay. Brian Cook, Kirby Joseph, Cam Thomas. We talked about before. Tackle guard Kennard. Kyle Phillips, Rusty's guy. Cole Strange. Center.
You know what, Rusty? I'm gonna watch him just for you.
Okay. Mathis, the tackle.
We do need some of that. No way.
We need tackle. We need a safety.
That Daubs guy is kind of intriguing. I watched one of his
You have
games.
20 seconds.
Okay. I'm gonna draft a lineman here.
A lineman. Okay.
Yeah.
So Zach Tom, do you have any preference?
Give me a name. You give me a name, Joe. I need your help here. I haven't watched these guys.
He's the highest on their board in terms of average ranked draft or whatever. So we're taking a tackle. There you go.
I was gonna go with an interior guy, but okay.
We need to tackle more than an interior guy, I think. I don't want to help you. This is your draft, but let's just say he's a backup tackle. Okay, starting the clock again. Big need at safety, running back, D tackle are your biggest needs, I would say off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Phillips here.
Wow.
Daubs.
Romeo Doubs, Braxton.
I want you to watch him. Please watch him.
I have a week left. I'm not watching anybody. I'm not gonna lie. Brandon Smith, linebacker, edge, hybrid. I mean, Clark.
we're going to take the defensive lineman, UCLA. And Rusty?
The defensive lineman or the receiver? Receiver.
Oh, no. I thought we had a defensive lineman. That Rusty's boy. What happened to Rusty's boy?
Rusty's boy is Kyle.
They took him?
No. You have 17 seconds.
All right, whatever. We're taking dabs. I don't care. We're loading up on receivers. We're helping Zach Wilson out. Romeo Dobbs. I picked there.
That's fine. Stop. Okay. Hold on. Oops. Stop. Stop. Reset. Okay. Starting again, Kyle.
Okay.
Pick 117.
What do we got for safety? What do we got there for safety? Help me out here. Let me see the safeties.
Running. Oh shit!
Is there a way to filter with a safety?
Yeah, it's just a pain. I don't like their interface with this at all. Bunch of lower JT Woods, super high RAS guy, McKinley, Corker. There's some guys here who are kind of.
It seems like it's too early. Go back to the all every player. We're not reaching.
Okay.
And I want to see running back. Actually, you know what? Show me running backs. Quick, come on,
I'm trying, dude. This is not the best interface in the world here. Zamir White, Rashad White, Pierre Strong, high RS guy, Tyler Algier, Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I try to watch some of this Strong guy too.
Spiller's there. 117.
Take Spiller.
Okay. Biggest needs, Kyle. D tackle, safety. You're still pretty big holes. What kind of? Depending on how you feel about
I don't know that we're really going to fill any of these holes here. All right, let's go to D tackle. Let's see what they got there.
Safety reset.
Oops. Why you got Josh Williams up?
I did not mean to do that. Start. You want to see safeties?
No, I want to see defensive linemen.
Okay. D lineman?
Yeah. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay.
You have 40 seconds. I don't really
go to the safeties. It's not like you watched any of these guys,
dude. Nobody really did. We're just talking about what we've heard from other people for whatever reason. I put both of them in here: safeties and D linemen. I'm gonna force your pick in 20 seconds.
Okay, go up. All right, we're gonna go with the LSU guy because he's an SEC guy, so they always turn out.
ADP is 119, so people like him apparently more than some others do. Stop. Reset. Okay. This is your last pick of the draft, Kyle.
Okay. So let's see the safeties.
Safeties. Any other position you want to see in there? Do interior offensive lineman. Do tight end maybe. I think that's a good group, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other position you want to see?
Okay. Nothing else. Okay. Wait, go up to the top. Let's start from the top. Scroll down. All right.
35 seconds.
Okay, we got time. Not gonna rush it.
JT Woods been a great pick here.
Who?
JT Woods. He just went. Alec Lindstrom, backup center. Jake Ferguson, backup tight end. There's some good. There's some people I like. Isaiah Likely is this far down for them? What?
Take him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But all right, Kyle. That is your draft. Let's discuss grading your. Oh, I forgot they grade your draft. Let's see what they gave you. I do not want to be a part of PFF. I have an A for the Mod Gardner pick, B+ for him for Carl Loftus, C+ for Dotson, Leo Chanel, B-. Backup tackle. I really haven't heard about him, but he was highest is C+. Romeo Doubs, guy you wanted, A. Spiller, C. B lineman, C+, and Isaiah Likely, F. Why do they hate Isaiah Likely? You got a B from them.
I don't know. I haven't watched any Isaiah Likely, but I did hear. So what is he, like a combine warrior? Like he had like good measurables or whatever?
No, I don't think he's a combine warrior. I thought he was like a receiving tight end for Coastal Carolina, but people also say he has a willingness to block and get better at it. So I don't know.
I think I did okay, man. Right?
What does the chat say? So our corners.
All right, so I gotta minimize the screen because I had it full screen. So let's see what the chat said.
Bryce Hall, Gardner, Eccles, Reed. You got Carl Loftus, opposite of Carl Lawson. You got Dotson to add to the receiver group. Chanel starting with Mosley and Quincy. Backup tackle, another receiver depth. He's your fourth guy. Romeo Doubs, Isaiah Spiller to be the number 2. Depth D tackle, and a tight end who I cannot believe was still there and gave you an F. I think that's ridiculous, but hey. Let's see. Anybody saying anything, talking any shit in here? What's
Mike said not bad. Thanks, Mike.
What's the grade?
Oh, so apparently Isaiah Likely can't block.
Yeah, but as a receiving guy, as your third guy, like I would be completely fine with that as your last pick. People say he's willing to block, he's just not good at it, which is the willingness is an important part.
I like that I was able to get Daubs where I got him. Apparently PFF likes him. Hawk gives it a C+. Hawk's
C+.
Tough.
He's not happy that we don't think McBride can't be what's his face? Yeah, kicked out the Raiders troll. He was saying some about Jets. I don't know. Some about Zach Wilson. He got booted. I'm not going to really even entertain it. How
your Nets doing?
I actually had to close out my screen because of that whole timer thing, which is I'm recording it too, so I'm going to watch it later, or rewind it. So
Harold said first round great. After that, left some meat on the bone. B as well.
B as well. Right, take a B. Yeah, Woods is a guy I would have taken, Kyle. It's that you took Farrell at 170 or 146. JT Woods is like a 9.99 RAS score for a developmental guy at safety, so I would have probably taken him. But let's see, not bad from Mike. Says he likes it. Hawk, yeah, C+. Not bad at all. Kyle, love the top. Rusty Sooner gives it a B. All right, he got your Chanel player there, Rusty. I don't know. Whatever. Nets up by 10. Yeah, it's on my screen now. Jelani Woods would have been a better last pick. I don't think Jelani Woods was there, Snowball. But Kyle, anything else you want to hit on, or is there anything else the chat wants to hit on really quick before, again, next week, stream with myself and then Marcus Coleman, former NFL player, is going to jump on for a little bit. I want you guys to destroy him with questions. And then after that, the next night, Kyle and I are going to be on end of round 1-ish time or after the first round. And then days 2 and 3, we are streaming. Again, I hope that some of you are in here. Have us and Ryan on different monitors or something like that. But again, I gotta stream for myself here. So Kyle, last words or any topics you want to bring up I got a couple minutes.
Well, I'm definitely very excited. It took me, people start on we as Jets fans, typically we start on draft season a lot earlier than some other fan bases do.
October.
Yeah. And sometimes for me, especially like, looking into quarterbacks and stuff, but we didn't have to do that this year. Typically I wait a little bit to kind of get into it, but I'm definitely really into it full swing now. And, I got the rest of the week off, so I'm definitely going to be watching a lot more guys. So some of these other names I'll be watching some more of. Definitely going to get into some more of the edge guys. I've been watching a lot of receiver stuff lately, so be watching some more of those. Verge, I'm going to watch not Verge. Rusty, I'm going to watch your guy. What's the name of his guy he keeps talking about?
Well, he likes Leo. He likes Eric Zukuma or whatever the hell his name is, the receiver, and Kyle Phillips. I know he literally every chat he mentions those guys. So
I'm going to watch some more running backs because I'm telling you right now, we're going to draft a running back at some point in this draft. So I'm going to try to watch some more of those guys too. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited, man. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone always gets excited for draft, so it's going to be pretty cool to be doing a stream during good portions of it. So,
want to answer this question, Kyle?
Sure. Stingley versus McDuffie right now, all things considered. Be interesting to go back and watch both of them, but I say Stingley. Joe might want to say McDuffie.
I would say McDuffie just because that's where I was originally at. I'm not going to let the arm length scare me off of that. And I think if he doesn't work out because of the short arms, I think he could be a legitimately good safety too because of how smart and aggressive he is. I could see that transition for him. So, Lou Chandler give you a C.
I'm gonna watch some. I'll watch some more. I'll watch some more of both those players before the draft too, because who the hell knows, man? It could be realistic that the Jets trade back at some point, right? You never know. Keep hearing all these teams, 16 and 19. You never know.
The thing with the draft too, by the way, again, we're gonna be on for a lot, at least day 2 and 3. Again, day 1 we'll see. We'll be on, but I just don't know exactly when. Just keep the notifications.
How early do you think you're gonna get on day 1?
It depends on how drunk my friends are and how quickly they leave my house. that's my serious answer.
Why would they leave before it's even over?
because my friends are just big Jets fans. They're not like big NFL fans. Like they'll watch Jets pick and like 5,
Gotcha.
6, 7, 8 picks after. They'll be like, okay, like whatever, because they got like work and shit on Friday morning, because they have Monday through Friday jobs. So the only thing is with the people watching the when we're going to be doing it is I don't think I'm going to pull up the picks on the screen and react to them. I think I'm just going to watch it with you guys. I'd be watching on my screen and we all react to the picks as we see them together. Because I don't know how to pull it up. I don't want to get like my stream like banned or whatever. Like I just don't really want to risk it.
You could get like a copyright thing.
I don't want the delay. I don't want to be like, oh, they pick this and then somebody puts it in the chat before I get to watch it on the TV. Like I don't want to have to deal with all that shit. So I think we're just going to talk about it, not necessarily put it on the screen. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys. I will see you next Wednesday with Marcus Coleman, and then again Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We will be talking to you guys to the point where you probably don't want to hear our voices for a little while. Kyle, last thoughts.
Yeah, I'll just say this I see a lot of consistent people who come here all the time, but if you're new and you really like the stream, you'll probably love some of the more especially the film centric content even more. And Joe's been putting out a lot of stuff recently, a lot of the players that the Jets could potentially be targeting. Right, like you put out your Stingley review recently. Who came out today?
Dean.
Dean came out today. And now obviously on YouTube, there's like a short preview, maybe like 5-ish plays, if that. But if you're a member to the website, jetsxfactor.com, you can get the full-on review right there. And there's going to be a lot more coming. So, right, like Joe hasn't even put out a lot of the free agents that the Jets signed yet. So those are going to be coming. You're going to have more of these draft prospects coming, and then the guys that the Jets obviously draft, you're going to get extensive reviews on those too. And sometimes they might be 2-something hours worth of 50 plus plays. Like that AVT review you did last year was like what, 2.5 hours, something like that. Mm-hmm. So, if you want that type of content, and I would venture to say that you're really not going to get that types of content at, much other websites. And I'll say that you won't really, and that's never really disrespect. It's just like, I think that your film work is bar none in the Jets community. So join the site. First month free.
Yeah. And I appreciate the kind words. Maxwell asked what reviews I'm dropping soon. So I'll just go through it really quick. I dropped Hamilton, Thibodeau, Aquanu, Neal, Karlaftis, Sauce, Jermaine Johnson, Linderbaum, Burks, London, Wilson, Stingley, McDuffie, Dean, and then I have Lloyd, Walker, Green, and Hutchinson all coming out before the draft. So make sure you check them out, like Kyle said. Nix says good show. Can't wait for next week. Appreciate that. Appreciate all you guys. And again, I'll see you in however many hours a week is. So I'll see you then.
Peace.